120 crusaders were on board, all were killed. The Russian Transportation Ministry dismissed the claim, and Egyptian officials similarly said the plane crash was related to a reported technical problem shortly after takeoff. It does not seem like everyone is treating this as a totally impossible scenario, however, as Air France announced in the wake of the crash that their own planes are going to avoid flying over the Sinai Peninsula for safety reasons as a precaution. Egypt has had a war against the Islamic State and its predecessor groups across Sinai since the summer of 2013, and initially presented it as a crackdown against Islamists supportive of the ousted-elected government. The war has raged on ever since, with large casualty figures on both sides.
For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports the United States government on Saturday pledged nearly $100 million in fresh aid for Syria's opposition, bringing the total amount of U.S. financial support to the opposition to nearly $500 million since 2012. Deputy Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, speaking at the Manama Dialogue Security Conference in the Gulf Island nation of Bahrain, said the economic support will assist local and provincial councils, civil society activists, emergency first responders, and others to meet the needs of the Syrian people. Part of the financial aid commitment includes $15 million to the Syria Recovery Trust Fund, an aid organization. Blinken said countering the extremist forces threatening the Middle East requires building institutions legitimate and inclusive enough to unite everyone, Sunni or Shia, conservative or liberal, secularist or Islamist, provided they pursue their goals peacefully. That's why the United States is working for a settlement in Syria that will give people viable choices other than supporting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for fear of terrorist or terrorist for fear of Assad.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Reuters reports wreckage believed to be that of cargo ship El Faro, which was lost off the Bahamas along with its 33 crew during Hurricane Joaquin, was discovered on Saturday, according to U.S. officials. El Faro disappeared on October 1st en route from Jacksonville, Florida to Puerto Rico in the worst cargo shipping disaster involving a U.S.-flagged vessel since 1983, after the captain reported a hull breach and said a hatch had blown open. A search team aboard the U.S. naval ship Apache, using sonar equipment, discovered the wreckage on Saturday in the area of El Faro's last known position at a depth of 15,000 feet. NTSB officials said on October 20th that the captain, aside from saying in a recorded satellite phone call that the El Faro was taking on water in one of its holds, had reported that it had lost its main propulsion unit and engineers could not restart it. It is not yet clear if the hull breach was directly related to the loss of propulsion. On Friday, Tote Services, the company that owned El Faro, filed for exoneration from or limitations of liability in U.S. District Court in Jacksonville, Florida, citing U.S. maritime law and saying El Faro was in all respects seaworthy and properly manned, and that it bears no responsibility for its loss. If it prevails, the company's liability could top out at $1 million or about $30,000 per lost crew member, according to Kurt Arnold, a lawyer for one of the victims' families. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A majority of Americans are pointing to Friday's tragedy as a clear call for major reforms in everything, or literally anything at all that might prevent acts of horrifying, senseless violence. According to a recent ONN poll, the nation is united in saying that the key to preventing future tragedies is a drastic change in gun control, mental health care, school security, media coverage, violent entertainment, the fragility of the human condition, and really so many other things we probably haven't even thought of yet. Jesus. The Randolph Center for Public Health and Safety also released a statement saying, quote, "If you look at statistics regarding gun violence in the United States, you'll see the recent shooting is a clear cry for any thing at all to please be different. In Washington, lawmakers have reached a bipartisan agreement that the U.S. desperately needs tighter firearm restrictions or looser firearm restrictions, or honestly, whatever option just makes these things stop. Do that one.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, and it is time for the live Sunday edition of the program. With you in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
And me, Mark.
And let's see here. You, of course, can join us. We'll give you the toll-free numbers and our Skype username in a little bit to allow you to take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever happens to be on your mind. Just finishing off the Keenevention 2015 weekend, and I had fun. Mark, you unfortunately weren't able to make it through the entire Keenevention. You stopped in today due to being in Vegas for the Bitcoin Investor Conference, which was carried live as you were broadcasting from the event here on Free Talk Live on both Thursday and Friday night. I think we should do a recap of both of the conferences when we get a chance.
Sure.
But let's go to the phones first, where Dennis is on the line in New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live, Dennis.
Greetings, gentlemen.
Hi there. What's on your mind tonight?
I wanted to talk about the fact that the front page of the Concord Monitor, the newspaper for the capital of New Hampshire, the front page above the fold Sunday paper is all about a free stater.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Tell me more.
Now this is yes. This is a free stater who, when she got active in New Hampshire, the first thing that she did was start up a charity, sort of in honor of her father, to help try and get Thanksgiving dinners out to needy people all around the state with voluntary donations of money and time and food. And that's, of course, Amanda Bolden, and she got herself elected to the state House of Representatives, despite the fact that a number of organizations actually sent out direct mailers to her would-be constituents, informing them that she's not a real Democrat, she's a free stater who's one of those horrible people that are sneaking in to destroy our state, and they're anarchists and scary. Well, that lady who got herself elected despite those mailers, and perhaps in part through the amazing goodwill she had in the community, is now being recognized for the two bills that she, as a freshman member of the House of Representatives, got two bills signed by the governor.
Yeah, people probably don't understand how unlikely that is as a freshman in, especially the New Hampshire House, where there are 400 people, is pretty unlikely.
And to get these signed off with a great flourish by the governor, which the governor doesn't have to do. And so this article was the fact that now all of the leadership on the Republican and Democratic side at the top levels in this state are trying to jump in front of the parade about how do we handle the opiate crisis. And our opening shot has been make it possible for people to get the Narcan, get the cure, without having any kind of police harassment about it, to the point where there are signs on the sides of buses, here's how you get Narcan, get some if you need some.
That's happening? There are signs on buses now?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
The state is spending money to try and inform people about the fact that you should not let your friends die. It's perfectly legal. You can get this stuff. Here's how.
Interesting. That's a turnaround. Yeah. So the state has gone from prohibiting the possession of Narcan to encouraging its possession?
Well, the governor of the state is lining up all of her friends, which unfortunately are basically the chiefs of police. It's horrible. But they're trying to sort of say, here's our strategy for how we're dealing with the crisis, and these bills are our first steps.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. As somebody who's gone to now, I would say, countless hearings at the State House over the last couple of years. It's quite a few that I've attended. I did attend the hearings for the Narcan bill and Amanda's other bill, which does something else for heroin addicts. I forget what it was.
You can call people into You can call an ambulance for someone who's overdosing, and it does not in any way implicate you. The cops are not going to arrest you or the person who needs the ambulance.
Yeah, that's a big deal because a lot of people are afraid to call the police given they don't want to get arrested for having some heroin on them or whatever. And so these are two big bills, no doubt about it. In the hearings for these bills, I was blown away that no one testified against them, not even the chiefs of police who you can normally count on to testify against anything that repeals any kind of drug prohibition. And, Narcan was prohibited. So they actually ended the prohibition of Narcan, essentially. The chiefs of police, the so-called Department of Safety, which is, for those outside of New Hampshire, that is essentially the state police. These people, not even the reactionary, ridiculous drug warrior advocates in the New Hampshire community. There's always, if you want to legalize marijuana, they'll trot out some teenagers and they'll, I forget what the group is, NH something or other. Anyway, they'll trot out teenagers and they go through a script on how marijuana is so bad. Not even that group came to testify against this. No one testified against these bills. It was the most smooth sailing I've ever seen legislation get.
Well, and now you have the governor of the state saying in her bid to become a U.S. senator, which is her next eyes on the prize, it's these bills, prime sponsor a free stater, that she's trying to get all the attention for about how great her vision and policy are, and this is how we ought to be doing things going forward, and the Republicans are having the entire pendulum of now, just wait. If Amanda decides to run again, which I certainly hope she does, but if she decides to run again, it is going to be very difficult for those opponents to send out hate mails about her.
Right.
When she can just send them the front page of the Concord Monitor.
Yeah, I'm seeing this story over at the Concord Monitor's website, but it's got a picture of some other girl, Shaheen or something. I don't know who this is, but it's not Amanda Bolden, whoever it is they photographed for the article.
If you look at the title of the article, it's very, very telling.
Yeah, it says, who gets credit for the state's strategy to fight the opioid crisis? It's not who you think. And, something else that's worth pointing out here, Dennis, obviously we're all members of the Free State Project. We're participants in it. We've made the move. We're early movers in this idea of concentrating libertarians in the same state so we can actually have political success. It's hard to really... it's hard to really explain to people how much success we've already had. I mean, you're talking about a front-page news story here, but we get front-page news stories multiple times per year all across the state for various different reasons, like, whether it's political success in Concord, whether it's civil disobedience in Portsmouth with the illegal Uber driver, Chris David. There's so many different things that garner us news coverage here, and the average Libertarian Party or Libertarian movement anywhere hardly ever gets any kind of mainstream media coverage at all, even when they do run for office. I mean, it's just the difference is stark.
Ian, I'm almost of the opinion that libertarians generally, and I'm talking about the big L libertarians, the party libertarians, don't particularly want to be successful. If they did, why would they be involved in the least successful, the least successful of three least successful of three political parties out there? It seems like what they want to do is they want to write bylaws. They want to sit around at Bennigan's and chit-chat about the things that they want to talk about, that they're not actually trying to do anything. The libertarians that wanted to do something have probably already heard about the Free State Project, are already planning their move, or have already moved.
If not, you should start planning your move. Dennis, your thoughts? Go ahead.
My thoughts are this was possible, and this isn't just news. This is like, oh, what a friend we have in this Free Stater. It doesn't actually say, and she's a Free Stater.
Right, because if she did something bad, it sure would.
This is the just top and bottom praise for this person. That being the front page. That's something. And that was possible because the first thing, in my opinion, it's possible in part because this was a brilliant thing for a bill to do, but in part because she had so much community support, because the first thing she did upon arriving in New Hampshire was, how do I volunteer in the community and help things for the people who are already here and need help?
Yeah, and her Shire sharing thing has become tremendously successful. You touched on it earlier. She started it in honor of her father. She's called the show over the years and talked about it. And it started small, but over the years it has grown to feed, I believe, hundreds of families in and across New Hampshire during Thanksgiving season. So I know she's gearing up for that as we speak. So it's just an incredible success story, and you're only talking about one of 1,500 so far people who've moved here as part of the Free State Project. And of course, everybody has their own stories, and many of them are successes in their own right. Dennis, was there more you wanted to say?
That's all. Thanks, folks.
Thanks for the call tonight. Good seeing you at Keenevention this weekend. Dennis was one of the presenters of what we call the old school panel, the people who've been here in New Hampshire for a long time, to get their perspective on how it's been so far. Free Talk Live.
BlakeDevelopment.net is a global leader in website creation, app development, and online marketing, catering to businesses of all sizes. There's really no job too big or too small for BlakeDevelopment.net. Do you have an idea for a killer app, but you don't know how to code it? Are you missing out on online sales? Or maybe your business needs help with social media? Websites start at just $200, and they're offering 3 years of free domain registry. Yes, they take Bitcoin. 844-SITE-123. BlakeDevelopment.net, 844-SITE-123.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Liberty activists around the country are starting to realize politics alone won't set us free. So what will? At Liberty on the Rocks, we believe the answer starts with living your principles, spreading ideas, and connecting with those around you. By starting a Liberty on the Rocks network, you can make a difference by uniting libertarian thinkers. Find out how much fun it is to build your local network from the ground up. Visit libertyontherocks.org today to get started.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course you can join us here. We'll give you the toll-free numbers. It's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype. You can Skype in here at Skype username LRN.FM. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian here.
And Mark.
And we're going to introduce a special guest in a moment. But Mark, can you tell me about Purse, specifically saveatpurse.com?
Saveatpurse.com is the way for you to give yourself a raise. Pretty much everything you need in life you can get at Amazon, and pretty much everything you can get on Amazon you can now get at a discount between 15 and 45%. 20% is pretty average at saveatpurse.com. All you have to do is go over there and sign up for an account. I guess the real catch is you need to use Bitcoin. Yes, this is the reason for you to switch over and use the new international peer-to-peer currency that is not issued by banks or politicians. It's controlled completely by people, the people that use it. Just go to saveatpurse.com. You'll have to get some Bitcoins, and you can go to bitcoin.com to find some suggestions on where to do that.
Great site.
So saveatpurse.com to save.
And huge thanks to bitcoin.com for putting up matching funds. This weekend was Keenevention. That's pretty much what I've spent the last 72 hours of my life doing. And bitcoin.com ponied up to $1,000 in matching funds for a live auction that we had during Keenevention. The live auction auctioned off several different things, but ultimately it raised money for Ross Ulbricht. And Ross, of course, has to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to put on a criminal defense in an appeal. He was the guy who was accused and ultimately convicted of running the Silk Road, the underground marketplace that was infamous for having a lot of drugs for sale on there. He's now going to be spending the rest of his life in prison unless his appeal is successful. And if he can't afford to pay the attorneys, then it probably won't be successful, probably won't have a chance at all. So that was cool to have Bitcoin.com step up and match those auction funds. We raised over $400 to be donated to Ross's campaign, or Ross's his fundraiser. You can join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number. We've got a special guest in the studio. Chris David is with us. He's a Seacoast activist. He's a Free State Project early mover and was one of the keynote speakers at this weekend's Keenevention here in Keene. You are known to our audience, Chris, as the illegal Uber driver. You're somebody who has actually put it out there that you are going to continue driving for Uber, the ride-sharing service that is under fire in a lot of political jurisdictions around the country, despite the fact that Portsmouth City Council has basically outlawed driving for Uber. Is that right?
That is correct. About a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, a new transportation ordinance went into effect that made ride-sharing companies illegal. There's a path, theoretically, that ride-sharing companies can take to become legal. Uber, which is the only ride-share company that's been active in Portsmouth thus far, has said repeatedly, loudly, and over a period of months that this ordinance would force them to pull out of Portsmouth, or if they weren't going to pull out, just that it is incompatible with their business model. They've requested specific changes. They've been trying their best to work with the council over a period of months. It doesn't matter. Uber has been illegal for the past month. It's been kind of a slow build in terms of police kind of their willingness to step in and actually enforce. Didn't boil over until last week. The big news was that the first driver that actually got stopped and cited was a grandmother, a 63-year-old lady.
She's a part-time bus driver.
Part-time bus driver. And it just kind of, we lucked out that I happened to have a filmmaker riding shotgun with me that Friday night 2 weeks ago. And we were driving up through the downtown Portsmouth, the main square, and I saw a black car with two cop cars, one of which was a K9 unit. With the,
in case Grandma had a kilo of Coke in the back.
You never know about those grandmas.
So we drove by, and I said, I was like, I wonder if that's an Uber driver. And so, as we drove by, the funny thing was that I had a ride request that was like right next to those cops. And so I was like, okay, this is awesome, because I've been trying for, a couple of weeks. Like, I've been pretty loud about the fact that I'm continuing to drive, partly because I wanted that first Uber driver cited to be me. Because then
You've got a lawyer lined up. You're ready to go to court.
Lawyer lined up, press ready to write the article, and then that would give me the opportunity to do something cool symbolically, like, I don't know, set it on fire in the square and get that picture and footage. I would do something creative with it. I don't know what, but
well, it's not like they don't know who you are. There's been a lot of press on the Seacoast about your civil disobedience here. This is ongoing civil disobedience. You're picking up people. How many nights a week are you out driving?
Fridays and Saturdays only. I used to drive more, but those are the action nights.
Yep.
And I had been driving until recently in Boston just because it's been better money. I've been busier with my other job recently, but when this ordinance went into effect, I said, I need to drive in Portsmouth. Yep. Number one, to fill the demand, because maybe about half of the drivers have been intimidated into not driving in Portsmouth. So there's a big, one driver who continued that first weekend that they were banned. He made like $375 in a single night. He told stories of
that's
like
stripper money. That's pretty good.
Trying to pick up this like group of people that were all trying to like cram people into his car. He said people were in tears, literally in tears, like this like wedding after party or something like that. They just could not get a ride after midnight. The taxis cannot handle the demand. And with Ubers off the road, it threw off that balance. So like there have been very real kind of human consequences to this. We have a separate story.
How about when the grandma got busted, weren't there some fares that she'd picked up or was going to pick up that were stranded as a result of that?
My theory is that those people that got kicked out of her car actually were who was summoning me, but they kind of canceled it. I would guess that if that is the case, they probably got intimidated. But yeah, the article about that says that there were two girls. We're talking 12:30 a.m. on a Friday night. Usually at that time, like the taxis tend to dry up kind of after midnight, or it's a lot harder to get them. Last call in Portsmouth is at 1 a.m. So the article said specifically that these girls like had no other ride. So it's like whether or not those were the people who summoned me or whatever, but like you're kicking two probably intoxicated girls onto the curb, and at the last line of this article, it's like city officials repeat that the intention of this ordinance is to provide for people's safety. It's like you just kicked two girls to the curb in the middle of the night with no other ride, and that's for public safety, when in the past 6 months there's been not a single incident of anything wrong with Uber. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's about control. It's about a petty little city council someplace in Nowheresville trying to tell a globe-spanning, highly successful organization, you're going to do things the way we say over here.
I'm curious about the city council on this. What was the vote to essentially ban Uber? I mean, that's not exactly what they did. They created regulations that basically made it so Uber was illegal. Was there any dissenting vote on that council?
The vote was 6-3. The three people who did not vote for the ordinance thought the ordinance was not harsh enough.
Not strict enough? Wow. All right. Can you stick with us for a little while and talk about this? 855-450-FREE. That's our toll-free number if you want to talk to Chris David, the illegal Uber driver. He's here with us in the studio, fresh out of Keenevention 2015. You can go to keenevention.info, see some of the recaps. I haven't posted day 3 yet, but that is still to come, and we can talk more about that too. And more about being an illegal Uber driver. It's Free Talk Live.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to produce an endless supply of nano-sized silver solutions right from the convenience of your home. Silver Lungs. With the addition of our unique lung delivery system, respiratory infections are targeted directly, where traditional oral administration simply cannot reach. This pioneering method also preserves the original particle sizes and delivers your silver solution directly into the bloodstream. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
Hi, I'm Rick Ossick with Famous Footwear. Did you know that premature birth is the #1 killer of babies? That's why we support the March of Dimes in the fight against premature birth. Join us in supporting cutting-edge research, treatment programs, outreach to help moms have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. Learn how you can help save babies' lives at marchofdimes.org.
Keenevention is coming up fast, October 30th through November 1st. Get your tickets now at Keenevention.info. Keenevention is an intimate event where you can meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire, including Oathkeeper Chris Reitman, Libertarian presidential candidate Darrell W. Perry, illegal Uber driver Christopher David, Neocash Radio's Dr. Darren Tapp, State Representative Mike Sylvia, rated an A+ by the NHLA, the Seditious Sirens, the Rebel Love Show's Rob Mathias, tech guru Brian Sovereign, cop blocker J.P. Freeman, new mover Dr. Taryn Lupo, longtime political activist Dennis Goddard, Church of the Invisible Hand minister Rich Paul, Shire Dude, and dozens more. Only 100 tickets are available in advance, so lock yours in now for just $60 or with Bitcoin. That includes access to the Halloween costume dance party. Reserve your tickets now at Keenevention.info. Visit Keenevention.info for more speaker announcements, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's Keenevention.info.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
When 16-year-old Jeffrey Patterson died in a car accident in February, he didn't just leave behind grieving friends and family, he also left a significant web presence. In a tribute to their son, Jeff's parents have continued to update their son's blogs and social media sites, including a blog called Shitbirds Everywhere.
Well, Jeff used his blog to make fun of stupid shitbirds. Yeah. And now that we're doing this, it's like part of him is still alive.
Yeah, and then when I post a picture of some shitbird who has a stupid ankle tattoo or wears some retarded hat, I feel like somewhere he's smiling.
He hated retarded hats so much.
Whenever we get a comment calling Jeff a dumb fag for making fun of a handicapped person on a rascal scooter, well, it's like he's still here. Jeff would have gotten such a kick out of that fat shitbird. He really would have.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. It's the live Sunday edition of the program. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you would like to talk to or have a question for illegal Uber driver Chris David, he's in the studio with us right now on his way back shortly to the seacoast of New Hampshire, which is all the way across the state. He'd come out this weekend for Keenevention, where he was one of the keynote speakers, the video of which will be available at some point at Keenevention.info. It's Ian and Mark in the studio with you. Otherwise, our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And, of course, you can join us online. Just drop on by freetalklive.com. So, Chris, you have been driving illegally for Uber, and what I love about Uber is they didn't shut down their service in Portsmouth. Portsmouth, New Hampshire, City Council voted overwhelmingly to essentially create regulations that basically outlawed the use of ride-sharing services like Uber. They want Uber to jump through all kinds of ridiculous hoops in order to be granted governmental permission to bestow that upon them to operate in the political jurisdiction known as Portsmouth. And they haven't shut off their service. Anybody who's in Portsmouth can open up the Uber app, and then they can hail a ride. You, as a driver, can open your driver app, and you can accept rides. Have you talked to the managers of Uber? How do they feel about your open campaign of civil disobedience? It's garnering press, for better or for worse, for Uber. Have they, have you discussed that with them?
Yeah, I went to, they had office hours every few weeks, either in Manchester or Seacoast area. They'll have office hours where drivers can come by and get questions answered. And so, I went and I spoke with the 3 operations managers for New Hampshire, and I told them, like, I am that person that you see, because some other drivers were like, one driver was like complaining about, or like trying to like tell on me or something. It was just
one of the Uber drivers.
One of the drivers was like, "Hey, did you see the like newspaper articles about the fuzzy-headed person who's been putting up all these flyers?"
Was this person at the meeting you were at?
He was sitting right next to me. He didn't know that I was like
you.
Literally next to him. No, but I mean everyone else in that room. I mean, we connected 80% of those drivers. There was probably about 20 drivers there. We connected like 80% of them into this Facebook group. So we're starting to kind of organize folks. But yeah, I went up to the operations managers afterwards. I was like, I am that person, and here's what I'm doing. And they're kind of their line is, we kind of want you to let us handle dealing with the city. And I was like, no, I got that, but I'm not asking.
You're not dealing with the city.
I was like, well, I've been to some of the city council meetings, earlier in the year, and just generally they don't want people kind of doing kind of renegade thing, or that's their line. But I was like, I'm not asking for you to sanction what I'm doing. I just want to kind of give you the heads up that this is what I'm doing. And they said, okay, well, without commenting specifically on what you're doing, we appreciate people who take passionate action, and people basically Uber likes when grassroots pressure is put on. If you look at how they rallied the people and users of New York to like melt down the phone lines of the de Blasio administration when they tried to cap Uber's growth there. I mean, their CEO has explicitly stated that their policy is one of, quote, principled confrontation. Like, they want to push the envelope as much as they can.
They certainly do. I don't know what their legal budget is, but it's got to be tremendous.
Sky high.
They
has
have
to be.
So many active court cases against various different cities all around the globe. They've had their offices raided in France and I believe Hong Kong as well. Let's go to the phones here, and we'll continue talking about your story. But I know Dana is on the line in Michigan, listening to WTKG in Grand Rapids. Hello, Dana. You're on with Chris David.
Hi, Ian. Hi, Chris and Mark. I don't want to be that person that calls in and says, I'm so sick and tired of government interference. And I also, because I do believe that certain things, there are certain laws that we have to abide by. Otherwise, it'd be just chaos. But you know what? And I'm going to sound so cliche, but I am so sick to death of government sticking their noses in, blocking innovation, blocking competition, which delivers a lower price to the consumer. I'm so sick of
it really reveals the truth, doesn't it, Dana? It reveals that the government isn't interested in protecting the consumer with their regulations, which is what they claim the regulations are there for. They're interested in protecting the old established businesses. In the case of Uber, that established business would be the old school taxi companies who are used to doing business the way it's always been done. And then Uber and Lyft and these other ride-sharing services come into the marketplace and disrupt the marketplace and create just innovation, levels of innovation that the business has not seen in decades. And so really it makes it pretty crystal clear what the government is doing, doesn't it?
Exactly. And the thing is Chris, the one thing we can say to everyone is when stuff like this happens, I want to say two more things, the reason why I called. So one thing is what makes me so crazy is these people elected on these municipal, councils, they're our neighbors. And I don't know what it is, and even at a state or federal level, they get a little power and they get crazy. The other thing, every single person in earshot of this program tonight, I will never in my life, when I need, ever go and get another cab again. ever.
Thanks, Dana, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What do you think about that? You know, these city councilors, certainly here in New Hampshire, everything's very, very small. Everything's very local. Politics is very local. These people have to go around. They have to meet their neighbors generally in order to get elected in a place like New Hampshire. And you've gotten a lot of positive response from the people in Portsmouth. Certainly the people who you're picking up obviously love your service. You've got high ratings. What was it, 4.85 or something like that out of 5 stars on Uber. So clearly you're satisfying your customers. Are people not calling on the city councilors, or if they are calling on them, are they just totally cold and completely in the pockets of these taxi cab companies?
The city council has the people that I've interacted with, and I've heard other people interact with them. They have kind of their standard line about, we need a level playing field and we need everyone following the same set of regulatory crap. I mean, it's so transparently about power for them. I mean, I laid out what I thought was a pretty strong argument. When I earlier in the year when they were first debating this ordinance, I went to the city council meetings, and you have your taxi people standing up and saying, advocating for us to be explicitly banned. And I say, I stood up and I said, look, if you're looking for a level playing field, it's very simple. Like, instead of adding punishment to innovation, which is just going to make it so that innovation doesn't come here, just unshackle the cabs. What we're proposing is not, this is something they need to do special for Uber. Freedom and liberty benefits everybody. So even the cab people seem to oh, okay, he's not some anti-cab troll, but
because everybody's out there and hates cabs. Can you imagine where these people are coming from? They think that their protection is so solidly set in granite that they deserve this protection, that people who want to take it from them hate them. People don't hate you if you drive a taxi cab.
Oh, I appreciate when taxis take
This is just innovation, and I get it. Innovation's tough. It was really hard for the candlestick makers when somebody invented a light bulb. Yeah. But that didn't mean that they hated candlestick makers. You are not a victim. You're just a cab driver who works under an old model. Step up, work under the new model.
And you're welcome to drive for Uber.
Exactly.
What do you think, just out of curiosity on this, I would imagine that taxi drivers probably feel like they would make less money doing that. Is that true?
Some do. I've heard from stories of cab drivers who make more money with Uber. It kind of varies by city, but...
Okay.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. There are a couple more things I'd like to cover if you can stick with us, Chris. Yeah. Specifically, there's a city councilor who's apparently running on against the idea of you, who's a cab company owner. It's Free Talk Live.
If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years. And satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
It's time to kick some ash. Because cigarettes have met their match. Smokers are switching to Vaporite e-liquid by LeSig. Because when you kick ash, you kick tar and smelly smoke too. LeSig smokes the competition with real people customer service, a 7-day satisfaction guarantee, and same-day fast free shipping. Become a vapor today at LeSig.com. Spelled LECIG.com. LeSig e-cigarettes. Kick some ash.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in 1 application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin. mymagicmud.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us right here. Our toll-free number, if you want to talk to the illegal Uber driver, he's Christopher David from Free Uber, which we haven't really talked about yet. I want to do that. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have Skype. You can Skype into the show here. Username is LRN.FM. Chris David gave an excellent keynote. Not really a keynote speech as much as it was like a keynote session, brainstorming session on Saturday night at Keenevention. It was recorded. It will be available eventually over at keenevention.info. I release the videos from the event weekly, and I do them in the order that they happened at Keenevention. So it'll be a few weeks down the line, but we'll get it out. You've been making headlines in Portsmouth, New Hampshire as a civilly disobedient Uber driver. Uber has not turned off their service in Portsmouth despite the fact that driving for Uber may very well lead you to getting a $500 ticket. Now, I believe the first ticket is $500. Does it go up to $1,000 on ticket number 2?
Yep, $1,000 for every successive offense.
Yeah, and they've already ticketed a grandmother who was driving for Uber part-time. And, of course, the taxi cab companies are railing against Uber in town. There's even one guy who's ordered his taxi drivers to snitch on Uber drivers. So when they see the Uber drivers around, they will write down their license plates or call the police and inform them about your presence. And that very same taxi cab owner, I referred to him as a city councilor before we went away there for a moment. He's actually not a city councilor, but he wants to be on the city council now. And isn't he running a campaign basically complaining about you posting signs around town? You've been posting signs promoting free Uber, which is at this point a Facebook page, a website. It's a website, right?
We're online at freeuber.org. We've got a Facebook page, just kind of our hub for organizing people focused initially on Portsmouth because that's where we have people, but we want to expand this out to Manchester where Uber is also illegal.
What do you want to organize them to do? Are you organizing just Uber drivers, or are you organizing the public to like reach out to the council?
It's a little of both. We're starting to focus now. We kind of have just completed kind of the public awareness campaign. Like everyone knows about this issue in Portsmouth now. We've done a good job on that. Our next step is communicating directly with drivers. Just to kind of have a support network where people feel comfortable, like kind of driving anyway, even despite the fact that it's illegal, because drivers are coming under increasing pressure to comply with the law. There was one driver who, on his own initiative, went to Concord, obtained proof that he had a clean criminal background history, individually purchased a commercial insurance policy, which he could afford because he's a business owner, and himself jumped through all of the hoops the city wanted to jump through. So there is one quote-unquote legal Uber driver.
I was going to ask you about him. Was that the guy who was kind of snitching on you at the meeting? Just curious.
No.
Okay.
Different fella. I haven't met him, but you know.
How do you feel about that?
People are going to have to choose what side they're on, and part of why I like this is because it's kind of a teachable moment here where Uber drivers, we've begun to kind of connect them together in a Facebook group, and you know, we're sharing information to each other, and just kind of, you know, these drivers, most of whom have not been libertarian or even political at all, they're really seeing in action the evils of government. So just to kind of get those people, you know, informing their customers of what's going on. One of our next stages is to get flyers in the hands of every Uber driver that's kind of on our side to
there's no
inform their
prohibition.
customers.
There's no prohibition on like giving a customer a flyer.
There's
That's
no everyone's 1099s. Uber drivers can do whatever they want, and Uber's.
If the customer doesn't like it, they can give you a bad rating.
Yes.
Right. Let's go to Carl. He's in New Jersey, listening to WPG. Carl, you're on Free Talk Live with Chris David.
Chris, my question is this. I've only met one Uber driver I didn't use him, but my question, do you notify your insurance carrier that you're doing this? Because my concern is if you had a bad accident and your insurance company say, well, we didn't know he was carrying fares. We're not covering that. Do you have an answer for that?
Yes. While we drive for Uber, we are covered under Uber's insurance policy.
Really?
Uber insures every driver and everyone in their vehicle.
So that's part of the contract.
Up to $1 million. You compare that to the insurance policy that's required of taxi cabs. They're required to have $300,000 worth of insurance. So there's some drivers who post on our Facebook page. They're like, well, why don't you just buy insurance? No, we're already insured through Uber. That's part of their business model. They, you know, with their billions of dollars in venture funding, purchase these policies that they can extend to drivers. So we're insured up to $1 million while we are on an active driving for Uber.
That's outstanding. Carl?
Okay, yeah. The guy I talked to, he had no markings on his car or anything on his person because he said they were being harassed in Atlantic City.
I believe it. I mean, there are some people, some of the Uber drivers around the globe who've been physically attacked. I remember seeing a video from, I think it was Mexico City, where cabbies were throwing rocks and smashing Uber drivers' windshields and, you know, side windows.
Yeah, this isn't about insurance. This isn't about public safety. This is about protectionism. Essentially, just organizations claiming to be the only ones that are allowed to give rides in a given area.
Right. Okay. Thanks,
Carl. Appreciate hearing from you. And we will take your calls if you want to make them. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So this counselor, or excuse me, not the wannabe counselor, the guy running that owns the taxi cab company that's most heavily against Uber, he's coming after. He's sort of attacking your signage, right? You've been posting flyers around town informing people about free Uber, and he's making that into a campaign issue?
Apparently. He has – so, you know, we have an election this Tuesday.
Yep.
In 2 days in Portsmouth. All of the city council are up for re-election. And, you know, so the city's blanketed in campaign signs. So, like, our Uber signs have kind of been, like, you know, gone along pretty well with that whole thing. But he has one sign, and it says, the one sign campaign keeping Portsmouth visually clean. Like, this is the same guy who has called me in, on one of these comment sections. He's called me a paper terrorist because we put up 1,000 flyers around town, and these flyers have been really, really effective at getting people talking about this issue. So
and they might also be effective at hurting his business a little bit, right?
And that is also partly the intent. Yes.
And so now he's basically crying about it in his political campaign.
Boo-hoo.
I mean, there's no doubt that you're having a tremendous impact here. And as we were pointing out earlier when Dennis was on the line, you're just one of 1,500 people that has moved here as part of the Free State Project. And up until the last 3 months or whatever, you were kind of in the background, if you will, one of the activists who might have been doing activism but not making headlines for it. Now all of a sudden you've jumped into this and you've jumped in full force. freeuber.org is the website. But it's not the only thing you're doing for activism. You led a great discussion at Keenevention about abolishing the state, a much more kind of large concept in general, and how can we go about doing that. We recorded the video of that, and it's going to be part one of what you told me was going to be a 2-part presentation on this. You've created a Facebook group called Abolishing the State, or Facebook page called Abolishing the State.
Yep.
And you're just getting the ball rolling on this project, so I don't know how much you can talk about, but if you want to give a quick pitch, you're welcome to.
Yeah. So we had this conversation, and part of the thinking behind it was, I want to take some of the lessons that I've learned in Portsmouth for how you can actually successfully exist and conduct business despite having not just no permission to do so, but to actively have your people who are making it part of their day job to hunt you down and try to stop you from doing what you're doing, and calling the cops on you and having the cops stop you, and to be able to thrive economically and despite that, and to have this huge wellspring of support. So it's hey, can we apply this same approach to other issues? Can we apply this same approach to other geographical areas? And I'm thinking right now in terms of New Hampshire, because in New Hampshire we have enough people on the ground to kind of do some interesting agorist counter-economic kind of projects. So we've got a couple ideas, and we had just this great brainstorming session, and extending what we've been doing by having, let's say, like in Keene, where Uber is not turned on yet, to have a blockchain-based version of that where we can just drive and not have any permission slips. So kind of extending what I've learned, and just kind of inviting, you people in Keene here, you're the masters of civil disobedience. I'm new to all this. So just to have, an opportunity for people to kind of chip in ideas that they think moving in the direction of what I think, any anarchist, any voluntarist, any proponent of a truly free society, what do we want? We would like to see a truly voluntary society in our lifetimes. That's what I want. That's my goal. So just to have people have an hour to just kind of talk about how we make that happen, I think we need more of that kind of conversation.
Absolutely. And thank you for spending the bulk of this hour here with us on Free Talk Live. I know you probably want to head back towards the Seacoast. It's 2.5 hours, I think, from Keene. So really appreciate your time. It was great meeting you this weekend, Chris.
Thank you.
And, of course, please keep in touch with us and keep the updates coming from freeuber.org. We'll continue. You can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is down $3 at $1,144 per ounce, and silver is down 5 cents at $15.65 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $319 US. With interest rates expected to continue at near zero, investors are buying alternatives like precious metals. We can help you do the same. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, November 1st, 2015. Silver is trading at $15.57 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,142 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $313. Antiwar.com reports the Sinai Peninsula affiliate of the Islamic State has claimed responsibility for Saturday's crash of a Russian passenger plane flying over the peninsula, a crash which killed 224 people. The Islamic State claimed they'd succeeded in bringing down a Russian plane, adding that more than 220 crusaders were on board, all were killed. The Russian Transportation Ministry dismissed the claim, and Egyptian officials similarly said the plane crash was related to a reported technical problem shortly after takeoff. It does not seem like everyone is treating this as a totally impossible scenario, however, as Air France announced in the wake of the crash that their own planes are going to avoid flying over the Sinai Peninsula for safety reasons as a precaution. Egypt has had a war against the Islamic State and its predecessor groups across Sinai since the summer of 2013, and initially presented it as a crackdown against Islamists supportive of the ousted-elected government. The war has raged on ever since, with large casualty figures on both sides.
For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the United States government on Saturday pledged nearly $100 million in fresh aid for Syria's opposition, bringing the total amount of U.S. financial support to the opposition to nearly $500 million since 2012. Deputy Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, speaking at the Manama Dialogue Security Conference in the Gulf Island nation of Bahrain, said the economic support will assist local and provincial councils, civil society activists, emergency first responders, and others to meet the needs of the Syrian people. Part of the financial aid commitment includes $15 million to the Syria Recovery Trust Fund, an aid organization. Blinken said countering the extremist forces threatening the Middle East requires building institutions legitimate and inclusive enough to unite everyone, Sunni or Shia, conservative or liberal, secularist or Islamist, provided they pursue their goals peacefully. That's why the United States is working for a settlement in Syria that will give people viable choices other than supporting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for fear of terrorist or terrorist for fear of Assad.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's FANS.fppradio.com. Reuters reports wreckage believed to be that of cargo ship El Faro, which was lost off the Bahamas along with its 33 crew during Hurricane Joaquin, was discovered on Saturday, according to U.S. officials. El Faro disappeared on October 1st en route from Jacksonville, Florida to Puerto Rico in the worst cargo shipping disaster involving a U.S.-flagged vessel since 1983, after the captain reported a hull breach and said a hatch had blown open. A search team aboard the U.S. naval ship Apache, using sonar equipment, discovered the wreckage on Saturday in the area of El Faro's last known position at a depth of 15,000 feet. NTSB officials said on October 20th that the captain, aside from saying in a recorded satellite phone call that the El Faro was taking on water in one of its holds, had reported that it had lost its main propulsion unit and engineers could not restart it. It is not yet clear if the hull breach was directly related to the loss of propulsion. On Friday, Tote Services, the company that owned El Faro, filed for exoneration from or limitations of liability in U.S. District Court in Jacksonville, Florida, citing U.S. maritime law and saying El Faro was in all respects seaworthy and properly manned, and that it bears no responsibility for its loss. If it prevails, the company's liability could top out at $1 million or about $30,000 per lost crew member, according to Kurt Arnold, a lawyer for one of the victims' families. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. A man on TV urges the mass purchase of Listerine. This is Doyle Redland reporting. In what is believed to be the widest-reaching appeal ever made by an individual on behalf of an oral hygiene aid, an unidentified man urged millions of people across the U.S. to purchase Listerine brand antiseptic mouthwash today. Experts are baffled as to why a person with the power to reach millions would choose to present an oral hygiene-related message. FCC spokesperson Grant Yarborough.
This individual should be so obsessed with oral hygiene as to demand that several million bottles of Listerine be simultaneously purchased is baffling.
The man, described as a handsome, trustworthy-looking individual in his early 30s, emphatically stressed that Listerine should be purchased over other, inferior mouthwash brands. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the second hour of the program. Now, of course, you can bring up anything you want. Our toll-free number allows you to join us here. 855-450-FREE. That's the number. 855-450-3733. Also, Skype into the show at Skype username LRN.FM. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Now, Mark, you were on the air during Thursday and Friday when you were in Vegas live from the Bitcoin conference, Bitcoin Investor Conference.
Yep. First time ever we've done a remote broadcast from Las Vegas.
I talked to Brian Sovereign and Stephanie Murphy today, who were there with you and on the air through a bunch of it. And they seemed to really be impressed with the conference. They thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
Was that? I guess that was your impression.
Yes, it was absolutely. I felt like I wish it was bigger. I wish there were more people there. But
it's a first-year event.
Yeah, first-year event.
I mean, we got about 100.
But what they missed. That's my point here is that so many people missed what I consider to be some of the best speeches I've seen yet at one of these events.
Well, hopefully some of it was video recorded.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be up on Bitcoininvestor.com in the next few days.
All right, well, that's good. So let's see. I guess one of the things I was curious about, we knew that the D Hotel in Vegas accepted Bitcoin. So you probably didn't have to pay for your own room, given that you were like a guest of the event.
Right.
But I presume you met some people who did pay for their rooms?
I know that. Well, here's what almost all of us ate just about everything at the D Grill because. Okay. This restaurant accepted Bitcoin there.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
So it's more than just getting a room. You can do other things with Bitcoin in the
right, and maybe they were good at it because the event was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'd had some training ahead of time or whatever, but it was seamless.
I suspect that they're good at it because the hotel is an official policy. I saw a picture of the D Hotel's marquee, and it has the Bitcoin logo on it. I mean, if you're going to take the time to put up the Bitcoin logo on your Las Vegas hotel marquee, you better have trained your staff. So I don't think it was just because of that one event.
Yeah, it's whatever it is, they're into it, and it worked flawlessly.
Wow, that's fantastic. So tell me what the experience was like. I mean, you go into this bar or this grill or whatever, you're sitting at a table, you're sitting at a bar. What happened there?
It was just a booth.
So you had a booth, you had a waitress.
We had, she was one of those sassy black waitress. She was giving me trouble the whole time.
I love
trying
that.
to side with my wife, that kind of thing. It was really pleasant experience, and I enjoyed that very much.
Did you tell her in advance you wanted to pay with Bitcoin, or was that at the end of the meal?
You pay as you exit at the cashier.
Oh, okay. It's one of those places.
So the cashier just.
What about tipping? Wait. What about tipping?
We tipped in cash just because it was easy.
Right.
You can tip in Bitcoin, and she seemed relieved that we weren't. So that's all I can say. So we figured it was easier for the waitress just slide her the cash rather than trying to have the bar switch it over and all that stuff.
So you left cash on the table, you went to the cash register, and then how did they do it? Some places will actually
have an iPad.
So some places will have like an iPad mounted to something that can sort of swivel it around and show you the QR code that you have to scan. For those that don't know, Bitcoin, we should probably mention, it's an international currency. It's decentralized. It's not controlled by any government or any bank. It's an amazing thing. You can learn more about it at bitcoin.com, but it makes transactions super easy because you don't have to make change, for one. When a business requests a certain amount in Bitcoin, when you send them the Bitcoin, that's it. The transaction's over. They don't have to fumble around with dirty money and put it in your hands or anything like that. So it's a real clean, easy, seamless transaction.
I'd say it went about as fast as a transaction, at one of these things. So I mean, it wasn't faster or slower than.
So
say
did you
a cash
bring
or
up an
credit
invoice?
card.
So the waitress left an invoice on the table or a bill on the table. You take that up to the cash register. You say, I want to pay with Bitcoin. They show you the QR code on their iPad. You scan that, and you're done.
Yep,
that's it.
That was it.
And that's the first time you've ever done something like that, right? Like to actually go to a sit-down restaurant and pay with Bitcoin.
I think so.
That's a cool thing.
It is. I sincerely hope the other casino restaurant places in Vegas begin to do it. But I really, one of the things I got from the conference is that it's going to take for Bitcoin adoption now. We've seen businesses that accept Bitcoin and that sort of thing. The ones that are having the most success are the ones that offer a discount for Bitcoin.
Okay.
Because if you want people to use alternate currencies, coupons are alternate currencies.
Yeah,
if you
that's
want
true.
people to use an alternate currency, you have to give them a reason. You have to pay them for their time. And so Bitcoin is going to have its most success in places where a person can get a discount for using it.
So I'm glad to hear about that. One thing you did say you were going to find out was whether or not the D accepted it for gambling. You had heard that it didn't, but you wanted to see if that was the case.
They don't.
Interesting. So restaurant, yes. Pay for the hotel room, yes. The actual gambling floor, no. Why? Did you ever find out why that was?
No. All I found out was as far as the gambling goes, I didn't explicitly ask one of the bar people there. I was just told they don't do it.
Okay.
So I didn't investigate further perhaps I should.
I thought you were going to track down a manager or something like that.
If you would have sent me a text, I would have remembered to do that. But
you're busy.
I'm trying to grab interviews the whole day.
No, I understand.
So
what else did you like about the conference?
The speeches were what it was about for me, and it was fantastic getting to see them.
Meeting people, meeting new Bitcoin type folks. It's not all people you knew, right? You met some new faces, I imagine.
Yeah, I would say the majority of it was new faces.
Very cool. So Keenevention also happened this weekend. It is the yearly event that happens here in our very own Keene, New Hampshire at the Best Western Sovereign Hotel. That's where it's been for the last 3 years. I don't know where it's going to be next year. We might look at some other options for a new venue. But, it was a great event. Once again, it's like on the way towards Keenevention, I always kind of think, get second thoughts like, is this really worth the time? Is it really worth the effort to put this on? And it always is, when it actually comes down to happening. Even though this year there were actually fewer tickets sold in advance than last year, we had a number of tickets sold on the first day as far as like walk-ins go. I would say we were close to last year in total attendance. Maybe not quite there. It's tough to do it on a Halloween weekend. There are a lot of events vying for people's attention at that time. So I'm grateful for everybody who comes out and spends their time with us. We had people from as far away as San Francisco come out to Keene for Keenevention. Also, we had one guy from Michigan who'd actually just moved to New Hampshire. So his first day at Keenevention was his first day living in New Hampshire, which was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool way to make your arrival. There's another guy from Wisconsin. We had people from Indianapolis come out and visit. So, it's always fun to have people from around the country come to New Hampshire and have the opportunity to meet dozens of activists, which is what Keenevention is about. It's about showing off the activism and the activists that we have here in New Hampshire. There are some other great events that happen here in New Hampshire for those of you who love liberty and you want to kind of check out the scene here. The Liberty Forum is the next one that's coming up, and that happens in late February. I don't have the dates in front of me. NHLibertyForum.com is the site there, and I'm sure they've got the dates listed. I recommend attending that. There's also the Porcupine Freedom Festival in the summer, which is more of a camping event. Liberty Forum and PorcFest, though, focus on a much wider range of subjects and a wider range of speakers. Keenevention focuses on New Hampshire-based activists and what's happening here. If you go to Liberty Forum, you're going to see some big-name national libertarian speakers like Jeffrey Tucker, who we usually have on to host a show with us from the Liberty Forum. And that's great. And it's very entertaining to go and see Jeffrey Tucker and Lynn Ulbricht, who, by the way, had a heart attack this week. The mother of Ross Ulbricht was in the hospital. But yeah, there's great national level speakers at those events. Keenevention is for the activists. It's for the people who are curious about activism. It's for the people that want to know what's really happening here in New Hampshire, who want to meet the activist names that they hear about on this show, that they hear from, like Chris David, who was here in our first hour talking about his Uber civil disobedience. He was there giving a great presentation. We had 11 panels, 44 speakers on those panels, and three keynote speakers as well. I love the event. It's really fun to put it on. We also had a great Hallow Keen costume dance party where our own Derek J. Freeman, former co-host now living in San Francisco,
came from San Francisco to do it.
He came out to help throw the party, and he was dressed as a schoolgirl in a schoolgirl outfit.
Oh dear!
And from afar, you wouldn't know that it was a man in the schoolgirl outfit. So there were. The people who've seen the pictures so far have found Derek J. to be a very attractive schoolgirl, and turns out it's a guy. So those pictures
That's Derek J. for you.
Yep, those pictures are going up as we speak over at the Hallow Keen Facebook page. There were some other great costumes there as well, including Chris David dressed as Satoshi Nakamoto, which was pretty cool, the creator of Bitcoin. It's Free Talk Live.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! On your knees! What's the
problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us. We're here live. It's Sunday. That's right. We're here live on a Sunday. Those other radio shows don't generally do that stuff. We're here 7 days a week, as a matter of fact. You can join us at the toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people who are ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be part of it. Liberty HealthShare is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty HealthShare is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. You get to choose your doctor, you get to choose your hospital, and you can live out your values in healthcare. You join the movement. Let's change healthcare for good. This is, for us at my home, this is our solution to Obamacare. JoinLHS.com. So it's joinlhs.com. Telephone number is 800-722-8041. 800-722-8041.
And our toll-free number here, if you want to join us on the radio waves, 855-450-FREE. Also Skype in. Skype username is lrn.fm. Ralph is in New Jersey. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Ralph.
I want to talk about this issue of the Democratic Party. The racist and the white guilty somehow there is a somehow confluence of this thing going on within the Democratic Party, and the House Negro Obama is the one presiding over it. And by the way,
isn't he in charge? I mean, how do you get to how can he be a House Negro if he's in charge?
Well, some would say, Mark, that he's just taking orders from the ultra elite that are allowed him to be there.
You have proven yourself tonight that you're not a white guilty after all. But this man is coming.
We've proven ourselves. That's good to know. You know what? Wait, before you go on with your point, I know you were calling for a reason. Ralph, I told you last time I was going to ream you out if you didn't call on Skype next time. What happened?
Well, I went in there and and then I said, I said, something along the line of Radio Obama, and they said, no, I don't think we have that.
I have no idea if that was an answer to my question.
Well,
I mean, I can't make you do it. Obviously, if you want to keep calling on the phone, that's fine. I just suggested it to you as a way to sound better and,
what I'm trying to say here is, you know, this social experiment goes. This man Obama is not working out. And once again,
don't worry, he'll be gone in about a year from now.
Yeah, and there's still plenty of time to ruin this country some more.
Well, look, you should know by now that when Obama leaves the office, it's not going to matter.
We did, and he would not be missed. I can guarantee you that, as far as I'm concerned. We definitely, with the remaining time that we give this man, okay, we're definitely giving him a lot of yard as far as the roof is concerned to hang this country upside down, okay? And as far as the social experiment is concerned, he's bringing it over here in New Jersey tomorrow with regard to overhauling the court, criminal justice system. This is where,
aren't they releasing a bunch of people for, the federal government's releasing a bunch of people for drug crimes?
That would really help, people, places like Baltimore and Newark, okay? And make the work of the police very, very easy. See, this is a two-pronged approach as far as this man is concerned. Doing that and then waging the war against the police, and you definitely have the white guilty marching in lockstep with him, such as Hillary, Bernie Sanders.
Who do you think is going to win the election, Ralph?
I hope it's Trump.
No. I want to hear who you hope. I want to hear who you think is going to win the election.
What's the difference?
Because hoping is different than thinking.
I don't know. It's all speculation.
I hope Rand Paul wins. I don't think he will.
I see.
And as far as the black man running,
he didn't want to answer your question.
No, he hopes it's Trump, which says volumes to me.
It certainly is not going to be the black man. I believe it's not going to be
Ben Carson,
the black man.
No,
I don't think.
Isn't he winning the polls?
Isn't he up in the polls right now? He's beating Trump in some.
Well, yeah, well, that may be the case, but
I'm not sure which one's worse.
Why don't you call him the brain surgeon rather than calling him the black man?
Well, okay, the brain surgeon.
Okay,
all right,
fair enough.
Fine. We're gonna call him that the brain surgeon.
Ralph, thanks for the call tonight, man. You got to download Skype, man. Skype us at username LRN.FM. It's free. You should try. Hey, Mark, be nice. Be nice. Why you make fun of Ralph? Why are you making fun of him?
Let us look at the character issue with regard to this man, because he has not shown that as a.
Does Ralph make fun of you, Mark?
No,
he does not.
Ralph Spins has managed to weave in House Negro and hanging into his call. Ralph is not, in my opinion, worthy of a great deal of respect.
Thanks for the call, Ralph. I appreciate it. Did he suggest hanging? Who did he suggest hanging?
He did. He talked about hanging, that Obama was hanging this nation. We have given him enough rope.
Okay.
And I'm just wondering how many things. You think he could have wove in spear chucking in there somewhere too? I don't know. I mean, at some point or another, the guy just sounds like a bigot.
Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Of course, you can join us also on Skype. Our Skype username is LRN.FM. Something coming up that's been in the news for a few days that we haven't yet talked about here on Free Talk Live, this CISA thing, C-I-S-A or CISA. I'm not sure how it's being pronounced. It is a bill encouraging companies to share their private user data with government. Just encourage.
Sounds like a bad idea.
It's just a gentle encouragement, Mark. They're passing this bill to just simply tell the companies, we sure would appreciate if you'd share some information with us. Why would it be necessary to pass a bill to encourage companies to share information?
Yeah, I don't think you need to.
So I want to get into that. Also, you can join us. You can bring up anything that happens to be on your mind. We also went to the Bitcoin Investor Conference. Mark was there in Vegas. I was at Keenevention 2015. And the videos from Keenevention will begin being released starting, I believe, probably late next week. So those of you who are waiting to see that, Keenevention, it's a great event to come and physically attend. But if you can't make it, we do record absolutely everything that happens on the stage, all of the panels. We had 11 panels and 3 keynote speeches this time around. And so there are hundreds of people that'll watch online, and I think there's a lot of value in it to really showcase what it is that goes on here in New Hampshire, all the great activism that we have, or at least a fraction of it can be focused on at Keenevention, and I had a great time. So you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We'll talk CISA, C-I-S-A, the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act, introduced by Senator Dianne Feinstein. That's enough reason to be very concerned.
Run away screaming.
All right, so we'll share that with you. What's it all about? You can also join us if you've got comments on that or anything else that you want to discuss. The toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE on this live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. It's Ian and Mark here with you on Free Talk Live.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the most affordable body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. Why would you go anywhere else? KD offers soft armor and rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free water purification kit for a limited time with any body armor package. Go to KDArmor.com. That's CATI armor.com. Come and take it.
Hey, Berkey Guy here. Are you still drinking unfiltered tap water? Does your water contain chlorine or fluoride? Will you have drinkable water in an emergency? The Berkey Guy is here to help you remove these and other potential contaminants from your water, thus helping you drink clean, purified water. We offer Berkey water purification systems at the lowest available prices online. Don't go another moment without a Berkey system. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands drink clean, purified water. Join them by visiting goberkey.com or call me, the Berkey Guy, at 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
If worst comes to worst, will you be prepared? You don't have to be a survivalist to prepare for the unexpected. Storing necessary supplies like food, water, and emergency equipment is simply taking responsibility for ourselves and our families when it counts the most. StrategicShelters.com offers emergency supplies and a secure way to store them, and provides protection for loved ones in the event of an extreme natural or man-made disaster. To find out more, visit StrategicShelters.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us right here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Don't forget, you can join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. When you want to get your shopping done online and you still want to pay with those old Federal Reserve notes, go to shop.freetalklive.com and enter through our links to Amazon there. There's Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, Amazon US. You just go into the right Amazon for you. You get your shopping done. And it's the same great Amazon prices you're used to. You're just entering through our affiliate links, so Free Talk Live gets a cut of the sale. And the best way to do that is to go to shop.freetalklive.com. If you want to pay with Bitcoin and save on your Amazon purchases, then go to saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com.
Do we have a link for Save It Purse at shop.freetalklive.com?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Our toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. So what is CISA? Here's the story from RT.com. The Senate on Tuesday of this past week passed CISA, a controversial bill encouraging companies to share private user data with the government that is worrying to civil liberties advocates. 4 amendments were proposed to address privacy concerns, but they all died on the Senate floor. The Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act, as it is called, was introduced by Senator Dianne Feinstein from California in June of 2014, following several high-profile cyber attacks targeting major U.S. corporations. It would purportedly protect user data from falling into the wrong hands. Well, how exactly is that?
The government's doesn't have a stellar track record at keeping user the kind of data that they have away from people.
No, they're terrible at it. Wasn't there one time they left a laptop in a bathroom stall or something like that, and people got all kinds of interesting data out of that? They've been hacked multiple times on various occasions, attacked by Anonymous. After debating the merits of the bill, it passed the Senate 74-21. The bill now goes to a conference committee between the House of Representatives, which previously passed its own version, and the Senate, or if or when that is approved, the bill would then head to President Barack Obama. Under the bill, companies would have increased liability protection when collecting and sharing user personal information that could potentially be related to security threats. The proposed legislation also makes it easier to share that data with government agencies and with each other. So, I'm a little bit confused here. Generally, are the companies going to get increased liability protection when collecting and sharing the user data if they agree to share it with the government? Is that part of the deal? Like, since this is supposedly a voluntary program for these companies?
I suppose that's what makes sense. Yeah, we'll just outsource your data collection to us, the government. We'll keep it safe for you.
This sounds like an incredibly insane idea, and any company that would utilize this deserves to be boycotted, in my opinion. Apparently it caused the concern of privacy advocates, leading to delays in the bill's journey through Capitol Hill. It's been in the process for more than a year now. Several amendments to address privacy concerns were all voted down. One of those defeated amendments was proposed by a critic of the privacy violations, Senator Ron Wyden. From Oregon, the so-called Wyden Amendment would have inserted language to protect personally identifiable information by making companies remove it to the extent feasible because personal information doesn't provide information about cyber threats. The default language in CISA gives companies leeway to only remove personally identifiable information if companies know that it is not directly related to a cybersecurity threat. Wyden also criticized the fact the CISA's information sharing is promoted as voluntary, even though it's only voluntary for companies.
But why do they have to pass a bill just to make this to make it so the companies can share their information with the federal government?
I think that's an excellent question, and I will speculate as to the answer. So this is sort of like that one piece of legislation that has created a voluntary program for companies to do a background check as far as if somebody is a legal immigrant or whatever. I forget what they call it. But there's like Dunkin' Donuts and other companies have signed on to E-Verify. That's what it was.
That's it. Yeah.
So E-Verify is supposedly a voluntary program that companies are encouraged to get on board with. And I suspect the reason they're codifying these voluntary programs is so they can throw a switch and make them not voluntary someday. Like, okay, well, first it's voluntary. We'll test the waters with these guinea pig companies that come on and make sure I'm sure there's plenty of bugs, but, try to iron out some of the bugs in whatever the program is to where eventually when they're ready to put the iron fist down completely, they can just flip the switch and say, all right, well, now everybody, you've got to start reporting. That's what makes sense to me.
They'll be ready then.
Let's talk to Jeff. He's in Illinois. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, you guys. We have she could have had her thing on yesterday with Halloween, Feinstein. But anyway, with this new law, she says she wants to keep the information from getting into the wrong hands. Well, isn't the government the wrong hands?
Yeah, you better believe it.
To my mind, it is.
Thanks a lot.
Great point. Thanks, Jeff. Very succinct. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Yeah, you trust the government, right?
It was the government that used Japanese surnames during World War II to round up Japanese Americans. Governments around the world have used the data that they've collected to do all kinds of horrifying things. No, I do not trust the government to collect this data. I do not.
So here's what Wyden said about the bill in October. Quote, they say the most important feature of the legislation is that it's voluntary. The fact is it's voluntary for companies. It will be mandatory for their customers. And the fact is the companies can participate without the knowledge and consent of their customers.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, and they're immune from any customer oversight and lawsuits if they do so.
God, how can they, with a stroke of their pen, they just destroy your right to take away. They take away your right to sue a company that gives away your information. In contrast to the terms of service.
Despite being supported by a wide variety of organizations across the political spectrum, Wyden's amendment failed ultimately with a vote of 41 to 55. The Heller Amendment was put forth by Senator Dean Heller of Nevada in case the Wyden Amendment failed. It had similar measures and would put the onus on the Department of Homeland Security to remove personally identifiable information that doesn't look related to cyber threats. The Chamber of Commerce expressed its support for the Heller Amendment, and ultimately it also was struck down. The Leahy Amendment from Patrick Leahy of Vermont was offered to deal with the issue of CISA's sweeping Freedom of Information Act exemptions. Even with the amendment, most information shared between the federal government and companies would be protected from FOIA requests, as it is considered proprietary information.
Okay, so you can't even get a Freedom of Information Act.
Right. It's just disappearing into the whole of the state.
This is that all that secret information that they were talking about as far as how secret information is growing inside the United States government. This is supposed to be a democracy, or at least a democratic republic, whatever it is. I can't make an educated decision on for whom to vote, because I'm supposed to vote for the government. They tell us in civics class, not that I believe this crap at all, that ultimately, we, the United States citizens, are the government. How can that be true if you don't have enough information to even make the decisions? You don't know what these politicians who are in office are doing. How can you decide to reelect them?
The Leahy Amendment failed 37 to 59. Let's see here. Going on, a quote from Patrick Leahy, the vast majority of the exemption is already protected from disclosure. He added that new exemptions are unwarranted and they unnecessarily override state and local laws. He says those who believe in local control would agree with me. It knocks out hundreds of state and local laws. Finally, the Franken Amendment, put forth by Al Franken of Minnesota, to narrow the bill's definition of cybersecurity threat. It would have limited the designations, or that designation, to actions that are, quote, reasonably likely to, unquote, cause damage to the company's network, as opposed to CISA's default may. I mean, reasonably likely to isn't even really that much tighter than the word may. They can still, claim that it's, well, we have reasoned that such and such. And that failed 35 to 60. So none of the proposed minor tweaks to the language of this legislation passed. None of them. 855-450-FREE. You can share your thoughts on the continuing crumbling of privacy here in the United States or around the world. Whatever you want to talk about goes. This is Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom in the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS? Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't take on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely. We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS. If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live. We'll take your calls about whatever's on your mind, talking about your privacy, which basically doesn't exist unless you put effort into it. It's certainly a topic we've come back to time and time again here on Free Talk Live, and you can expect us to do so more in the future as the government continues to chip away at whatever semblance of privacy remains in your life. The latest news about this CISA, the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act, which is ostensibly a voluntary program, that will allow companies to share their information with the government more easily than previously or something like that.
Also to do it in secret, because the companies have no liability for violating terms of service and giving your information to the government. The government said so.
Well, it's not a violation of the terms of service, Mark. If you look at terms of services generally, and most people don't, but if you look at the terms of service, almost every terms of service I've ever looked at, and I don't look at them all, they have the same kind of legalistic protection, which essentially says if we need to cooperate with law enforcement, we're going to do that. So
this isn't cooperation, though. This is
voluntary. It is. They're volunteering in and
that's
cooperating
not they need
with
to.
I understand that, but the language doesn't need to. It's like, you got to obey the law, and so will we, basically, is what the terms of service say. And if they volunteer into this program, then they're obeying the law, right? This is a law or an ordinance, or I guess not ordinance, code, U.S. code that has been passed. And, well, I guess it hasn't been passed yet by the president. They're going into their committee process where they determine the differences between the House version and the Senate version.
Unless the internet gets up in arms and stops this like it did CISA, or whichever one it was. There were a few of them in the past.
It's looking too little too late at this point. I mean, it's already passed the House and Senate. It's just a matter of hammering out the details.
Yep.
At this point. So, your privacy is limited, and you've got to take steps to protect it. One of those steps you can take is ProXPN. It is a virtual private network, and they've got servers all around the globe. So what you can do is connect to a server outside of the United States, and then you can surf the internet, and the website you're going to won't know where you're coming from. Your own internet service provider won't be able to snoop on what you're doing anymore. So if they can't snoop on you, they can't turn over that information to the government or sell it to other companies, mine the data for useful and saleable information. ProXPN helps keep you safe on the internet, whether you're on Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, or Linux. Get started at proxpn.com/amp. That's where you can go to learn about the special offer they've got for Free Talk Live listeners, where you can pay with Bitcoin and get 2 years of ProXPN for less than $50 and less than $50 worth of Bitcoin, I should specify. This is only available for Bitcoin buyers. And $5 of your purchase price will go to the AMP program. That's the Free Talk Live AMP program to help us advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live and get the ideas of liberty and privacy on the air on hopefully hundreds more radio stations around the country. We've already got over 150. We can get more. And you can help us do that and protect your privacy simultaneously by going to proxpn.com/amp. If you can't pay with Bitcoin, you don't get that deal, but they've got other deals for those of you who want to pay with a credit card. You can use code FTL50 and get 50% off the regular price if you get the annual plan. So go to proxpn.com/amp, AMP. Here on Free Talk Live, we continue with your calls and thoughts. Michael Dean is on with us from Montana, or Wyoming, rather. Hey, Michael Dean.
It's all the same. Hey, I'm calling in on Skype on a little Android tablet, cheap $50 tablet. Wanted to see how it sounded compared to that guy that was on the phone that won't use Skype.
Oh, it definitely sounds better.
Yeah. It's I guess if we're talking about privacy, I want to talk a little bit about how to use VPNs and about Android in general. So I've never used Android before. I got one of these little tablets because first of all, I want something that I can like film a cop stop with, and this thing can do it. And second of all, like I spend a lot of time like sitting in doctors' offices these days, and I don't want to carry a 3-pound or 4-pound laptop, and these things weigh like 3/4 of a pound and can do most of the things that you want to do, killing time in a doctor's office for an hour. So,
Candy Crush?
The ideal. What?
Candy Crush?
Candy Crush? No, I don't play games. But, the thing too, like with first of all, like Android, it's pretty bizarre because the whole system is set up to like just do these amazing prescient, like, predicting what you want correctly and helping you out in every way. But to do so, you basically have to allow Google to be Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a weird compromise. And I would have no problem with it if there was not a government that could access what Google's storing about me. But it's kind of weird. You use one, don't you? You guys have Android phones?
Yeah, I've had Android now for multiple phones, and I've enjoyed the experience.
But you can get a certain level of security. I mean, I think there's apps you can put on the phone or rooting the phone, that sort of thing, to give you a higher level of security.
Well, you can, but if you root the phone and you're not using Google's, basically the choice is like, reduce it to a Linux brick, where you're doing everything the hard way, or have all the joyous things that Google's giving you, and it's like Google's watching you sleep. I mean, literally,
I wouldn't take technical advice from Mark. Rooting the phone. And by the way, there's a weird little noise that we're hearing back. I want to give you that feedback, Michael Dean. It's strange little feedback. I've never really heard it before. So I'm going to tone you down a little bit as we talk. But
lean back a little bit too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something internal with the phone or what it is. But anyway, if you're using Android and you root the phone, you will, number one, void your warranty. So this is only something really a hobbyist should do. And secondly, rooting the phone does not get rid of Android's Google apps. You can get rid of the Google apps. There are some real raw kind of ROM installations that you can get for it. But generally, the third-party ROMs that you get encourage you to install the Google apps, because then you can't get your email. You can't. There's a lot that you can't do without those apps.
Right. So the other thing I want to talk about was using VPNs. I know you guys and me on the Freedom Fiends both have advertisers that are VPNs, and we're fans of them. Virtual private networks, for people who don't know, it's inexpensive service that you're not visible to your local, you're not viewable in your traffic on the internet to your local provider. But there's kind of two theories of how to use them, and I've heard you guys. It sounds like you use the opposite theory of how I use them, and I wanted to explain the two theories.
All right.
There's the theory, and I think this is what you do, of using a VPN all the time. So your local ISP and anybody along the way cannot easily see what you're surfing, but you're still connecting, like you're still going on Facebook as you're still going on Twitter as you're still logged into Gmail doing searches on Google as you. So out there somewhere, there are all these databases that contain, this person is interested in this topic. Maybe he's using a different IP each time,
Sure.
But that can be put together really easily to see who you are.
Yeah, a VPN isn't an automatic increase to all privacy. It only protects you from your ISP spying on you, basically.
Right. The other way to use it is to only ever use it when you're not logged into any social networks or Google. Like if you want to go search some stuff that you wouldn't want to be, confused as being a bad person, because a bad person might also search that kind of topic. You can use the VPN and be completely anonymous and not have it connected with geographical or user information searches.
So after having listened to your phone, and thank you, Michael Dean, for the call tonight, I would give it probably a 5 on the scale of 1 out of 10 on how you could sound. There's too many little quirks with that. There's this buzzy little sound. Yeah, you'll have to listen back to it and see how that sounded. And maybe it's because it's a cheap $50 tablet. It's not really designed for communications too effectively.
One thing interesting, if you do call into Free Talk Live, you can go back and listen to your call by simply going to the website. The last night's the show is usually up by midnight Eastern time, so you'll be able to get it pretty quickly.
Was it better than a phone conversation? Yeah, I would say better than most phones, especially bad cell phones. It was definitely better than that. But your average cell phone might sound a little bit better than that using Skype. I think generally Skype is a decent upgrade to sound quality. So a little bit more about privacy. It was something that came up today at the tech panel this morning. Brian Sovereign from Sovereign Tech came back from Las Vegas in time to host the panel. So he did 2 conventions over the weekend, speaking at the Bitcoin Investor Conference where you were at, Mark, and then coming this morning to Keenevention.
He's going to have to start charging.
And they talked about, he just seems to love doing it, and he loves the attention.
He's very good on stage. I got to see his talk.
Yeah, he's great, and so they discussed some privacy things, and they went over apps that that all the folks on the panel recommended, just generally, cool apps that activists should have, and of course there were some privacy-oriented ones like Text Secure, and I believe there's the equivalent for Apple phones called Signal. So I highly recommend those, as well as Red Phone to protect yourself. Hour number 3 coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
If you expect secure, privacy-oriented services and real human support from your web hosting provider, choose Virtual Space International. From domain names and SSL certificates to offshore banking accounts, Virtual Space International has been the all-in-one, multi-language solution for over 25 years. And satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. We even accept Bitcoin. Find out how to get 50% off for life at SaveTimeHosting.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
SWCPoker.eu is Bitcoin Poker 2.0, where players can buy chips, play, and cash out anonymously with Bitcoin. No banking, just Bitcoin. Texas Hold'em, Omaha Hold'em, Draw, and many new games, including Chinese poker. SWC Poker gladly accepts players worldwide, and over 2 million hands of Bitcoin Poker have been dealt at SWCPoker.eu. Bitcoin Poker from the brand you trust. SWCPoker.eu.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, November 1st, 2015. Silver is trading at $15.57 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,142 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $313. Antiwar.com reports the Sinai Peninsula affiliate of the Islamic State has claimed responsibility for Saturday's crash of a Russian passenger plane flying over the peninsula, a crash which killed 224 people. The Islamic State claimed they'd succeeded in bringing down a Russian plane, adding that more than 220 crusaders were on board, all were killed. The Russian Transportation Ministry dismissed the claim, and Egyptian officials similarly said the plane crash was related to a reported technical problem shortly after takeoff. It does not seem like everyone is treating this as a totally impossible scenario, however, as Air France announced in the wake of the crash that their own planes are going to avoid flying over the Sinai Peninsula for safety reasons as a precaution. Egypt has had a war against the Islamic State and its predecessor groups across Sinai since the summer of 2013, and initially presented it as a crackdown against Islamists supportive of the ousted-elected government. The war has raged on ever since, with large casualty figures on both sides.
For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the United States government on Saturday pledged nearly $100 million in fresh aid for Syria's opposition, bringing the total amount of U.S. financial support to the opposition to nearly $500 million since 2012. Deputy Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, speaking at the Manama Dialogue Security Conference in the Gulf Island nation of Bahrain, said the economic support will assist local and provincial councils, civil society activists, emergency first responders, and others to meet the needs
needs of the Syrian people. Part of the financial aid commitment includes $15 million to the Syria Recovery Trust Fund, an aid organization. Blinken said countering the extremist forces threatening the Middle East requires building institutions legitimate and inclusive enough to unite everyone, Sunni or Shia, conservative or liberal, secularist or Islamist, provided they pursue their goals peacefully. That's why the United States is working for a settlement in Syria that will give people viable choices other than supporting Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for fear of terrorist or terrorist for fear of Assad.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Reuters reports wreckage believed to be that of cargo ship El Faro, which was lost off the Bahamas along with its 33 crew during Hurricane Joaquin, was discovered on Saturday, according to U.S. officials. El Faro disappeared on October 1st en route from Jacksonville, Florida to Puerto Rico in the worst cargo shipping disaster involving a U.S.-flagged vessel since 1983, after the captain reported a hull breach and said a hatch had blown open. A search team aboard the U.S. naval ship Apache, using sonar equipment, discovered the wreckage on Saturday in the area of El Faro's last known position at a depth of 15,000 feet. NTSB officials said on October 20th that the captain, aside from saying in a recorded satellite phone call that the El Faro was taking on water in one of its holds, had reported that it had lost its main propulsion unit and engineers could not restart it. It is not yet clear if the hull breach was directly related to the loss of propulsion. On Friday, Tote Services, the company that owned El Faro, filed for exoneration from or limitations of liability in U.S. District Court in Jacksonville, Florida, citing U.S. maritime law and saying El Faro was in all respects seaworthy and properly manned, and that it bears no responsibility for its loss. If it prevails, the company's liability could top out at $1 million or about $30,000 per lost crew member, according to Kurt Arnold, a lawyer for one of the victims' families. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
His name is Osimo. Honda has unveiled its new human-like robot that the team says is designed to run a non-competitive half marathon and then smugly brag about it afterwards. Project leader Kenji Saito calls the robot very aggravating, adding, quote, "We knew how to create a robot that could run great distances at high speeds. The challenge was to build a bot that would be impressed with its own minor achievement. The robot even believes it could run a full marathon if it wanted to, but it's just doing this to stay in shape and have some fun.
If I wanted to, I probably could have played college football."
Aiming to make the android as realistically human as possible, scientists installed sensors to register derisive comments and eye rolls from annoyed coworkers as genuine interest in its self-centered blathering. The team noted that the irritating robot could be useful in medical fields as well. Already, Osimo has pestered scientists into sponsoring it to run a 5K in Cape Cod this summer. To date, it's raised over $700 for leukemia research.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Of course, you can join us here. It's the live Sunday edition. We're here. We'll talk to you about anything that happens to be on your mind. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're going to pick a story off the front page of our website, our brand new redesigned website for 2015. You can go to that and check it out at freetalklive.com. And yes, the downloads have been broken for the last few days, and people are freaking out. We've got posts on the website. And I guess it's a good thing, right? Like, people are paying attention. They want to download the show, but it's broken, so they're letting us know. Yes, the downloads are broken, the direct downloads. You can still get the show through podcast, and our technicians are behind the scenes working to fix that. Just to explain what went wrong, SoundCloud is our podcast host, and they just decided to turn off the download option. It used to be that if you went to the SoundCloud link for our show, if you added /download to the link, that it would download the file. Well, they turned that off, and they just didn't tell anybody about it. And so our listeners started reporting, hey, your downloads aren't working. And so I contacted SoundCloud and said, well, there seems to be a problem with your website. And
we didn't like those downloads anyway.
They said something about it, like encouraged illegal downloading or something like that. And I said to them, I don't know what that means, but
all of our content is ours.
Right. We select download as an option for our files because we don't care if you copy it.
It hasn't affected plays in the last 24 hours, I can tell you that.
Well, that's good to know.
We're at almost 3,000.
Yeah, those are probably counting podcast downloads would be my guess.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that fixed. My guys figured out a way to do it. I don't know what the status of that is because I've been busy with Keenevention. So it was like the worst possible time for this to happen during the middle of Keenevention, actually throughout the entirety of it. So our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Doug. He's in Illinois. You're on Free Talk Live listening via the TuneIn app. Hello, Doug.
Hello.
Hey.
I actually want to bring up about the VPN issue.
Yes.
A report came out about a month ago that the government can actually break into a VPN with the 1024-bit encryption. You want to make sure that, whatever VPN you pick, that it will have a better encryption than that. I went with the one on your show, VPN Pro or whatever.
Pro XPN.
Pro XPN.
Right, and they actually have 2048-bit encryption.
Oh, really?
They have no documentation that they can break that. But, who really can know?
I always wonder about the breaking of encryption, though. Like, for instance, I'll send PGP encrypted emails and that sort of thing. The things I send in there aren't interesting at all. Right, like I don't send. These aren't where to find uranium-223. They're not the missile codes. It's not child porn. It's nothing like that. Right? It's just talking about business with people who wish to do PGP. So if they break that, they've wasted, I assume, a great deal of time in breaking it. So, I mean, does it take them a long time to break these things if they choose to?
I don't know, but that's me why I do it. I do it to make their life more difficult. They're in violation. They're in violation. They're in violation of the law. I mean, I don't know if people actually know it, but prior to the Patriot Act, if you were a federal agent, you did not get a warrant, and you were gathering data on an individual, on an American, you were committing a felony. The DOJ would go after you. Now, you were talking earlier about how they're giving a company immunity under the new bill that they're coming up with. That had been identical to what happened with the Patriot Act. I read the Glenn Greenwald book that came out more than a year ago, and he detailed all that. He talked about how, like a big company like AT&T, they were actually given retro immunity, meaning that nobody could take them to court over anything, dealing with collecting data. And, people like me were wondering for a long time under George Bush, how could AT&T get that big and not have government intervention? I mean, they merged with company after company after company. I think now we got a pretty good idea why. I mean, AT&T collaborated with the government. We know that now. And, it'd have been the kind of thing where we, the government, take care of you. AT&T will take care of the government, and we'll allow you to merge and get larger and larger. And in return, you give the government data,
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it'll end. I mean, we're gonna have like China will be what'll happen.
Well,
China's getting freer.
Yeah.
I wonder to myself that you see China's economy growing by leaps and bounds, and you look back at sort of the Gilded Age in the United States, and is it freedom that makes economies? Is it freedom that makes economies grow, or is it the prospect of more freedom? Is it the growth of freedom? Because in China right now, people are demanding more freedom. They're getting more freedom. Everybody, the standard of living is skyrocketing for them. Here in the United States, well, even though the economy supposedly turned around, people aren't very happy as far as...
You can't keep up with inflation here.
Yeah.
Doug,
it
good
seems
call,
like it's a nation on decline.
Hey,
hopefully they can turn it around, and I think they can do that by more freedom.
Since you're a privacy guy and you were, congratulating Pro XPN on having good encryption technology, what else do you recommend? We mentioned TechSecure, we mentioned Red Phone earlier, and Signal for the for iPhone users, TechSecure and Red Phone for Android. What do you like?
Well, one thing that I would bring up that the other caller brought up had done that, you continue to remain logged into whatever, if you log into a profile page, maybe on Google, you continue to remain logged into that. If you go incognito, it will automatically take you out of it. You're not going to be logged in. I would recommend a VPN and going either in private or incognito if you're under Android, but
Very cool. Thanks for the call tonight, Doug. Appreciate hearing from you. You can join us. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. The Free Talk Live website at freetalklive.com. The download links may not be entirely functioning correctly at the moment. We apologize for that. But there's a lot more on the site, including the ability to actually rank submitted content by our listeners and also to submit content. So you're submitting suggested show prep or show topics, rather, things we can talk about on the air. And wanted to make a point of picking one of those from our front page. This one is submitted by Wordus, submitted a few days ago now at this point, from the Uber blog. And it's interesting. Apparently, as Uber use goes up, DUI rates go down, at least in Pennsylvania. Drunk driving is a serious problem throughout the United States, and that's particularly true in Pennsylvania, which is the 4th highest state for DUI fatalities, even though its population is only the 6th highest in the country. In Pennsylvania, alcohol-related motor vehicle deaths exceed the national average by 24%. And
it seems like people drink more alcohol in colder places. Like maybe they just can't get out enough. I don't know.
Is that true? Is northern states have higher consumption than southern?
This is anecdotal. I haven't gone through, but I can tell you Wisconsin's number 1. New Hampshire's supposed to be number 2. Look at Pennsylvania ranking, punching above its weight in DUIs. That's just, I've got 3 pieces of information I've stuck together and come up with a conclusion.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's true. It'd be interesting to get more detail on that speculation, Mark. In Pennsylvania, alcohol-related motor deaths are responsible for 38% of all motor vehicle fatalities. It's one of the highest rates in the nation. Last month, Pittsburgh resident and blogger Nate Good caught our eye when he posted an analysis of drunk driving in the Philadelphia area, which demonstrated that DUI rates have fallen in the city since the arrival of Uber. We previously tested this theory in Seattle and found a causal relationship between Uber arriving and DUI rates falling by about 10%. Good's analysis begins to provide evidence to support this theory, but of course, correlation is not causation. Other factors could be contributing to falling DUI rates as well. However, we're big believers that if you give people a safe, affordable, and convenient alternative to drinking and driving, fewer people will drive drunk. So while Uber is still new to the state of Pennsylvania, we expect to see a huge impact here. And then they will take a look at some of the data to see why. Number 1, Uber requests from Philly and Pittsburgh bars over-index 3 to 5 times, meaning that they can look at what kind of establishments that Uber users request cars from. So they look at the maps based on where the Uber person is requesting. Some users, for instance, request trips from bars, others from restaurants. We can compare the percentage of requests from bars to the overall percentage of establishments that are bars. And here's what they found. Requests for rides come from Uber users at bars at a much higher rate than you might expect based on the number of bars that there are in the city. The fraction of requests from users at bars are between 3 and 5 times greater than the total share of bars. In cities lacking reliable transportation alternatives like Philly and Pittsburgh, Uber is a reliable way to get home from a bar, and their users know that. Who wants to pick up a DUI? Everyone wants to go home. The question is, how are you going to get there? It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here on the radio.
I was coming out of the hardware store when I saw him. An old man, late 70s, hunched over in the freezing rain, no hat on his head, limping across that slippery parking lot, and pushing a row of shopping carts toward the cart corral. It's heartbreaking. Millions of hardworking Americans simply don't have enough money to retire, so they just keep working and working and working until it's too late. Hi, I'm Chad Stubbs, President and CEO of PowerTrader, and I believe that's just plain wrong. That's why I'm now distributing to the public absolutely free copies of PowerTrader's game-changing book on how regular folks can make the money they need to retire fast. For your free copy, call 1-800-771-6706. Don't let the lack of money rob you of your retirement. Call now for details and get your free copy of this book before it's too late. 1-800-771-6706. But hurry while supplies last. 1-800-771-6706. 1-800-771-6706.
Earthquake, floods, winter storms, prolonged power outages, or war. Each of us have had that moment when we recognize that we need to be better prepared. We typically do the same thing. We start with food storage, then we address the need for water. But have you considered heat storage? I'm talking about staying warm in the cold. Here are some things for you to consider. How will I keep my family warm? The standard answers are firewood, coal, or propane. But the problem with that if you need to be on the move is you can't take it with you. Another concern? There may come a time when you need to stay warm without smoke, like in times of war. There may even come a time when you can't burn fuel. The answers may be simpler and less costly than you think. For these answers, go to fortressclothing.com. Again, fortressclothing.com has the answers to your heat storage dilemma. Don't get stuck in the cold. fortressclothing.com. You'll never be cold again.
If you're looking for work, you know what I mean by elevator speech. It's the short version, saying just enough to make the listener want to listen more. Even if you're not a job seeker, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. So to cut through the clutter, choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Instead of saying, due to the fact that, say, because. And avoid mispronunciations. Say jewelry, not jewelry, which could offend. Undoubtedly, you don't want to say undoubtedly. And whatever you do, never use a preposition to end a sentence with. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. If you have a business, you know that IT can be frustrating, but it doesn't have to be. IT can serve your needs reliably, predictably, and on time. Rootwork Infotech helps businesses achieve always-on reliability. Their nerds know business and can meet your needs. To prove it, they'll give you 30 minutes on the phone with a senior consultant for free to answer any of your IT questions. Just go to rootwork.it/FTL to get your free call. That's ROOT work.it/FTL.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Oh yeah, it's Free Talk Live. You can join us right here. Just dial on in toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Mark, tell me about the Free Talk Live t-shirts that are, I guess the pre-order phase is done. And I don't know what
I haven't checked on that since I've got back from the convention. Today's the day after the pre-order phase, but I'm sure that we're going to be starting up the production this week on the t-shirts. It's not too late to get one. Just go to gear.freetalklive.com. We have basically two different varieties. I wore mine that says "Taxes are theft" at the convention this weekend.
How'd that go over?
Well, other than sort of the voluntarists there saying that's old news. Oh, fine, you think it's old news. I tell you, the folks that were working at the hotel, they felt like that was true. Yeah, absolutely, they point at my shirt. So
anyone that looks at their paycheck knows that's true.
Yeah, it's 100%. So you can get the T-shirt that, as far as I'm concerned, lays out the ideas of liberty in 3 words: taxes are theft. And then it has Free Talk Live's logo on the back. It's a ringer tee, which I really love, and then there's a few other versions of it. Just go to gear.freetalklive.com. There's another version with just the Free Talk Live logo and its epicness blazing across your chest. Gear.freetalklive.com.
All right, let's go to Charles. He's in South Carolina listening to WTMA in Charleston. Hello, Charles.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome, sir. Go ahead.
I've been paying attention to politics since the early 80s when I was in high school. And I remember Reagan, he didn't have the support of Congress like Bush did and like W. Bush did and like Obama did. Yet he stood at at the Berlin Wall and called for its destruction, and the people heard it, and they took it down. And that was one of the most remarkable times in our generation. I mean, it was just a remarkable thing. But what I've seen since, I mean, George W. Bush George W. Bush had the full support of a Republican House and a Republican Senate
for 6 years.
And what did we get? We got more government expansion, more government intrusion, more debt, more spending. And what happened? And two wars that we're still involved in.
Yep.
Barack Obama campaigned against all of that. The debt is irresponsible to continue to increase the debt. And he's going to take us out of Iraq, and he's going to take us out of Afghanistan. Well, what happened? We got double the debt. We got even more expansion and more government spending. And we wake up one morning and find out that our planes have bombed the hell out of Libya. And now we're also in Syria. And it looks like we're trying to pick a fight not only with Russia, but you can't blame what Russia's doing in the South China. I mean, what China's doing in the South China Sea. You can't blame that on Obama. But I don't know what we're going to do unless we have somebody like a Donald Trump to come along and take over.
Don't you think he's? Don't you think he might just get us into World War III?
Has Donald Trump given any indication?
The hell out of me.
Yeah, I mean, has Donald Trump given any indication at all, Charles? Has he given any indication that he is against war? I don't think that's the case.
I don't know what he'll do. That's the problem. I know what Jeb Bush will do, and I know what Hillary Clinton will do, and that scares me even more. So what are we going to do?
I say secede. Get the hell out.
What's the alternative?
Get out of the Union. Escape from. If South Carolina tried it once, they should try it again.
Yeah, I agree with that. The what do they call that? The states, the convention of states.
No, you wouldn't need that to secede. You wouldn't need that to secede. You could just the state legislature could probably pass something and move forward with a plan to secede. It's a kind of a pie in the sky pipe dream, but so is the idea of changing the federal government. I mean, the idea that anybody's going to.
We'll take this into consideration. We've got all this commotion about the Confederate flag. You know what that Confederate flag really represents?
Well,
it represents what can happen when the federal government pushes too far. 600,000 people died in that war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
and
Charles.
They want us to forget that.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate your calls and your call and your thoughts tonight here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Obviously, the Confederate flag issue, I think, has died down a little bit from over the summer, but nonetheless,
it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Yeah, it doesn't mean any one thing in particular. Certainly, to each individual who has a strong feeling about it, it means that whatever that thing is, but it ranges from meaning racism to meaning meaning independence, right? There's a whole range of opinions about
being
that.
From the South. When I was growing up, it never indicated to me at all that a rebel flag might mean that you dislike black people. Never thought that. But to me, I think that the rebel flag, the 2nd Virginia battle flag, or the nautical whatever you want to call it, to me, it's one of the most attractive flags out there if you're going to pick flags. But I wouldn't put it on a vehicle or something like that because you never know what it doesn't mean the same thing to you as it does to somebody else.
Yep, that's true. So you can join us here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Recent news in the Bitcoin world. This from CryptoCoinsNews.com. Bitcoin, of course, being the amazing independent currency, an alternative currency to all of the fiat currencies, the government currencies of the world. Bitcoin is non-governmental. Bitcoin is not issued by banks. It's an amazing thing. You can learn more about it at Bitcoin.com. Story from Evander Smart at CryptoCoinsNews.com. He says, allow me to introduce you to someone who has the potential to be very important in the future of Bitcoin. His name is Balaji Sirinzavan, and he's the founder and chairman of 21 Inc., a Bitcoin startup that has secured the most venture capital of any Bitcoin company in history at $116 million. They are supposedly investing in future proprietary products designed to drive mainstream adoption of Bitcoin. And with that in mind, the research of the company has highlighted some interesting Bitcoin factoids. Now, by the way, a factoid, I don't think is the right word to use there.
Right. Factoid means basically truthy. It's something that looks like a fact and is not.
It has come to mean a small
fact. Right. But the language changes, and enough people didn't know what a factoid was that a factoid has come to mean what it never meant.
So one of these facts released at the second annual Bitcoin Job Fair.
Why is it one fact bigger than another fact?
I don't know.
Right, that's kind of. I mean, the Earth is 93 million miles away as a fact, but I once had a mohawk as a factoid. No.
This one says that Bitcoin is 100 times more powerful than Google. And Google certainly seems to be this ubiquitous presence in our lives. I mean, at least those of us who are on the internet frequently, or even infrequently. Most people.
I'd have to hear the explanation as what 100 times more powerful means.
Yeah, we'll share that with you here in moments. And you can join us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Also, turns out that it's common for police to steal your nude phone pictures, especially if you're a woman, and share them
Who'd have thought?
Amongst each other. It's a game for them. This is Free Talk Live.
A lot of people's lives and bodies are out of balance. Alkavision Plasma pH drops optimize pH level and get rid of harmful waste and acid. Just a few drops in water restores vibrance and energy and gets you back in balance. Now order 2 bottles and get $10 off your order. Sign up for monthly auto shipping and save 25%. Call 800-518-7615 or visit alkavision.com. Alkalize your body. Supercharge your health at alkavision.com.
There are hundreds of silver products on the market today, but there's nothing like the astonishing health benefits of the multi-patented One Silver Solution. Boost your immune system at a great price with our Silver Solution Liquid, starting at $12.95 a bottle. Now available in regular and extra strength. That's half the price of the leading competitors. Call 844-USILVER for your free catalog, or go to OneSilverSolution.com. OneSilverSolution.com. There is only one Silver Solution.
Free Talk Live.
They're the mafia. They function like the mafia. They think like the mafia. They hire people who think like the mafia. The only difference is they put on a front that there's something legitimate and legal and valid about all of it.
Well, there's no Don in this particular mafia. The Don is the majority of people who went out and voted and then put their new Don in place. And sometimes the Dons change and sometimes they don't. Incumbents are very difficult to unseat, and but their henchmen stay in place the whole time. It's quite a sophisticated mob operation.
It is. Well,
that
it's the mafia that is so successful, that has so brilliantly pulled the wool over people's eyes, that they've actually gotten people to give them their children so the mafia can educate them into believing that they need the mafia.
Right. We have free indoctrination camps. Schools for you to send your kids to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is down $3 at $1,144 per ounce, and silver is down 5 cents at $15.65 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $319 US. With interest rates expected to continue at near zero, investors are buying alternatives like precious metals. We can help you do the same. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, Government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict, or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us right here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've been talking about privacy, also Uber helping to reduce DUIs, apparently. At least that's what the data suggests out of Pennsylvania since Uber has arrived. DUIs have gone down. Coincidence? Could be. But 10%, a 10% drop in DUI that's a statistically significant number. And for it to happen to coincide with the beginning of Uber is pretty interesting coincidence.
I don't know if taxi cab companies generally have apps, but Uber's a convenient way for a generation that doesn't like to use the phone. And we've read
and by use the phone, you mean talk on the phone.
Right, talk on the telephone.
Yeah.
When we've read plenty of articles about millennials that telephones make them nervous.
It's weird.
Talking on the telephone makes them uncomfortable.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but it's none of my business.
It's just out of their purview, I guess. They've been texting so long, they're just not used to actually talking to somebody.
Right. I mean, I've seen memes on the internet about and how essentially, I can't believe they tried to call me when I texted them.
It's insulting, huh?
Right. Somehow or another, using I don't get it. But I had text turned off on my phone until relatively recently, so I'm not the kind of guy that would get it.
Does this spell doom for talk radio, Mark? The idea that millennials don't want to talk on the phone? I mean, we can't do a talk show if people just want to text us.
Sure you can. All kinds of talk shows do talk shows without having callers.
Yeah, that's true, but we can't. This is a call-oriented show. I mean,
it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but I like to talk to people, Mark. So, I mean, I'd probably get bored talking to you for 7 nights a week or 6 nights a week or whatever. We're live 7 nights, but you and I both take a night off, and it's on different nights. So I don't always talk to you every single night.
5 nights.
Yeah, you're right, 5 nights a week. But I might get a little bit bored about that. So I like having different people call in and express their opinion.
Sure.
Will this be the death knell for caller-focused talk radio? The fact that millennials don't like to talk on the phone. The toll-free number here, if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So Bitcoin, bigger than Google, 100 times more powerful. This according to CryptoCoinsNews.com's Evander Smart. He talked to Balaji Srinivasan, the chairman, co-founder of 21 Inc., who's been doing some interesting research. He says he looked online to find out what a petahash rate and gigahash rate was, and that is one long rabbit hole. So I'll leave the technical ramble to techies like this Mr. Srinivasan guy. He makes the comparison to Google based on the fair assumption that they're using a certain type of server which has a petahash, which is the equivalent of 1 million gigahash or 1,000 terahashes. These are the amount of data that they can crunch at any given time in a certain time frame. Bitcoin reached 1 petahash of computing power and speed on September 15th of 2013. Bitcoin is now working at over 350 petahashes, which is a lot of petahashes. So all of Google today apparently would represent less than 1% of all of the mining of Bitcoin operations worldwide. The sheer degree of what is happening in Bitcoin mining is not being appreciated by the press. If we assume there are 10 million Google servers and each of these servers is running, you can multiply that through and get 1 petahash. If they turned off all of their data centers and pointed them at Bitcoin, it would be less than 1% of the entire Bitcoin network.
Wow.
So Bitcoin is like this massive...
100 times the size of Google's server banks.
Their power, basically. Yeah, the amount that Google can crank through.
And Bitcoin has been called the largest computer in the world.
Right.
Because
apparently it dwarfs Google.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, but there you go. That's the geeks. The geeks will rule the internet ultimately. And this is another thing that came out of the Bitcoin conference, Ian, that I found to be extraordinarily powerful. Is there are currently 4,000 full-time developers working in the Bitcoin sphere.
Wow, that's a lot of really smart people working on Bitcoin.
Right, and we're not talking about the people who are working front office, secretaries.
You're talking about the programmers.
Talking programmers only. And that's only full-time paid ones, not the people who are working on open source stuff, doing things in their spare time. That's 4,000 full-time paid. And one of the reasons why I believe Bitcoin ultimately has to win is because it essentially has some of the greatest minds of the millennial generation behind it. And the millennials are completely opaque to the generations that preceded them. Just as evidenced by the conversation we just had about texting. I don't really understand those millennials and their texting, right?
I understand it.
I don't.
I mean, I think it just comes from that's what they're used to.
Fine.
You step out of your comfort zone, and it feels weird, right?
But do you understand my statement that they're opaque to us? They live in a different world to some extent.
Yeah.
And because of that opacity.
Opacity, I would say.
I think that's opacity. I've seen the word written, never had an opportunity to use it. Because of that opacity, they can function in a way that we do not. It's like the nighttime stock clerk guy. They rock out in there in the grocery store. They do whatever they want. The grocery store is a completely different place at 3 o'clock in the morning because these guys have their headphones on and they're blaring it through the speakers.
Throwing stock down the aisle.
So because of their opacity, they're able to function differently. And I really believe that Bitcoin's going to ultimately rise up and eat the lunch of the other of legacy banking operations that are out there. Radio, television, these are old mediums that still have a great deal of currency, a great deal of momentum. And the reason they have momentum is because of the people that work within the sphere. There are radio sales guys every day getting on the telephone, making phone calls. When you have people that are working to move something forward, it continues forward. Bitcoin, it got the wind knocked out of it by the MT Gox, the Mt. Gox failure.
Yep.
But Bitcoin isn't Mt. Gox. It isn't an exchange run by a criminal.
In the same way that the U.S. dollar isn't the bank that you use, right? If the bank fails, it doesn't mean that the dollar has failed. Ultimately, the dollar is failing because the government continues to print more of them out, which, of course, Bitcoin is not subject to that. Bitcoin is not subject to the whims of politicians. Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that is, delivered Bitcoin to the world back in 2009, and here we are, roughly 6 years later, and it has become the world's arguably most valuable currency. It's been an incredible ride, and some would say we're still at the low point as far as the price is concerned. Yeah, it looks like a lot. When you look at the price, it's over $300 right now.
It's the most valuable currency per unit on the planet.
Yeah, by far.
And remember, when we started out talking about Bitcoin in January 2011, it was 27 cents per Bitcoin.
Well, but somebody
it's now more than $300.
Well, right. My point there, though, Mark, somebody will look at that and say, oh, it's too late. Well, no. What if it goes up to 3,000, 30,000, 300,000? I mean, it's all possible. Who knows where it will peak out? We're in a new world here with currency. Bitcoin's such a radical change, an innovation in the realm of currency. It's the most important thing to happen to money since, gold and silver, basically.
I am not, I get it as far as speculating on Bitcoin. That's fine. You can do that if you want. But for me, what Bitcoin's about is it's a new way for companies to interact with individuals without having banks in the middle.
Or governments.
That's why I really am excited about SaveItPurse.com. We have saveatpurse.com. This is it's a portal through which you can access huge savings on Amazon. You can buy pretty much anything you want in your life.
I got some new mic cables, 30% off.
30% off. I just got a new cell phone, 20% off. Brand new, in the box, cell phone, 20% off.
That's great. And it was an expensive cell phone.
It's an expensive cell phone. I'm investing in the future. But, these people want that, and it's going to expand. Overstock, they're offering some kind of savings for using Bitcoin. Amazon doesn't operate in, 80 countries around the world because, well, they just can't ship there or work with them. Overstock, because of Bitcoin, they have two times the market share.
Opacity.
Yeah,
there you go, from dictionary.com. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733, and you can join us here on Free Talk Live's Live Sunday Show.
BlakeDevelopment.net is a global leader in website creation, app development, and online marketing, catering to businesses of all sizes. There's really no job too big or too small for BlakeDevelopment.net. Do you have an idea for a killer app, but you don't know how to code it? Are you missing out on online sales? Or maybe your business needs help with social media? Websites start at just $200, and they're offering 3 years of free domain registry. Yes, they take Bitcoin. 844-SITE-123. BlakeDevelopment.net, 844-SITE-123.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't pick on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for under $30,000. You heard right. That's 5,000 square feet under $30,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait.
Call 800-917-8251. 800-917-8251. 800-917-8251.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but we'll hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us here on the radio waves. We've also got Skype. You can call in there at Skype username LRN.FM. The Keen Bitcoin network continues to expand. In breaking news here, we do have yet another business in town now accepting Bitcoin, although just for tips at the moment. There's a local place called Local Burger here in town where a lot of the activists like to eat. We just went there tonight, Mark, for our Social Sunday event. Yep. Post Keenevention.
They call it Local Burger because they locally source food.
Yeah, that's right.
Huge here.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and it's good food, too. So it's cool now they're actually accepting Bitcoin as tips, which is, of course, the first step towards getting them to accept Bitcoin as for purchases as well. And we're successful at this because of a group effort, because multiple activists are here as part of the Free State Project. Many of them are Bitcoin fans and users, and when you get liberty-minded people together in the same place, activism becomes possible that was previously not possible. So numbers make a huge difference. If you love freedom, you really ought to check out the Free State Project. Go to freestateproject.org. There's always new, exciting stuff developing like this up here as we continue to garner more and more movers, more people coming here to make a better life for themselves. Let's talk to Jimmy, listening in Idaho. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, your previous caller was talking about the Confederate flag, and then he happened to mention the 620,000 soldiers that were killed in that war. And I've been reading the Real Lincoln book, and it just goes through a lot of the history of that. And he points out that when you really think of the unimaginable costs of that war for dirty politicians' political gains and not really caring about human life or anything like that. But if you bring that up, and this book was written in 2003, and he says standardizing for today's population of some 280 million compared to the 30 million in 1865, this would be roughly the equivalent of 5 million deaths. And
Jeez.
It's like,
wow,
it really hit me when because you think about, you heard about the 620,000, but when you think about it in that other way, it's like, unreal.
It's still an unreal number. I mean, 620,000 is more than the U.S. has probably lost in all the other wars combined.
Darn close, I would say, yeah.
I mean, how many died in World War II? I know it was like 58,000 in Vietnam, but I don't know World War II offhand. But yeah, it's a shocking number, and of course it's, brother killing brother, as the story goes, which is a horrible thing.
Right.
All for the glory of politicians.
I just thought I'd bring that up. I mean, it just really kind of hits you just what the politicians they have. Like Larkin Rose says, they don't care about you and me whatsoever.
They only care about themselves and their power and rewarding their friends and punishing their enemies, and you are just a tool that empowers them to do those things. Jimmy, thanks for the call, and thanks for sharing that with us here tonight. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Well, guess what? According to filmingcops.com, a year ago, that California Highway Patrol officers used to take much pleasure playing a private sexual game, and then it all had to stop when a civilian filed a greatly publicized complaint. So what was this much-loved pastime? Well, it involved sharing nude photographs of women, and not just the ones who willingly had their pictures taken for public consumption, because there's plenty of those on the internet. That's no fun, right? For the police, the fun was in taking your pictures from your cell phones. So at least two sets of images which these members of law enforcement enjoyed viewing were women who had been pulled over for a traffic infringement. For the officers, it was all fun and games, but for the victims, it was a downright violation of their privacy and civil rights. Just after midnight on August 24th,
August 29th, 2014, Natalie Sremick was driving along South Interstate 80 in San Ramon when Officer Sam Harrington pulled her over at a traffic stop. He suspected she was driving under the influence. The patrolman then asked Sremick for her phone and told her he would help her call a friend. Her phone had a passcode on it, and Harrington made her divulge it. Now, for one moment, why on earth would anyone voluntarily give their cell phone to a police officer? Why would you need to have an officer help you call a friend in a situation like this?
I would say that I would say it's just about the power of the badge. It's just what it looked,
He used the power of the badge and, some sort of suggestive phrasing to get this lady to hand over her phone and unlock it for him.
Yep.
Next, he went through the photographs on her cell phone. They were her personal pictures, and according to the lawsuit she later filed, contained images of her in various states of undress, which I imagine, especially among younger people, is not uncommon these days. With all the stories we hear about sexting among teenagers, I imagine that people in their early 20s and such are also participating in that particular activity, and probably people older than their 20s. These were her personal pictures. Harrington selected at least 6 of those photos and then forwarded them on to himself. As soon as he stole the images, he distributed them. And at this stage, it can be confirmed that he had only one accomplice in the crime, his colleague Robert Hazelwood. However, investigation does reveal that sharing such pictures was a widespread hobby of the officers. Now, Mr. Harrington is a married man and has 3 children. He resigned shortly after his shameful crime was exposed. In an official inquiry that ensued following Sremick's complaint, Harrington admitted to investigators that he had participated in similar activities at least half a dozen times over several years. He further revealed that he'd also shared pictures of another woman who he had stopped in Livermore. At first, the California Highway Patrol officers had claimed this was a one-off incident. Although the commissioner, Joseph Farrow, was quick to condemn the officers, he's been named as one of the defendants in a lawsuit that was filed in federal court last week. In a surprising turn of events, prosecutors refused to charge Hazelwood with the violation. Earlier this year, Harrington offered an apology following his appearance in court, and his wife and lawyer were by his side. He admitted, quote, "I apologize to my family, my wife, my friends. I apologize to officers everywhere, especially the 2 women involved." The disgraced officer also expressed the desire to move on from the episode. He said, quote, "I'm trying to put this behind me and move forward with this. I hope now everyone else can too." Well, that's good. I hope that he can put it behind himself and maybe get a job in the productive market world now where he won't have access to the strange women's phones and be able to steal their photos. But he's probably really sorry that he got caught. I'm sure he was having a grand old time before this lady probably checked her phone logs after this guy, because that's what he did. He forwarded them to himself, so that's going to show up in the logs on her phone. All she had to do was probably look at her texting logs, and she would have seen the officer's phone number there and the fact that there were 6 pictures sent to his phone. So he likely didn't do anything to cover his tracks, because had he done that, maybe like deleted the messages after he sent them or something.
That would have been
like
a good idea.
Yeah, had he done that, she probably never would have known about it, unless she checked her phone logs.
I guess she just let him take her phone back to the car. I'm going to take your phone back to the patrol car now.
Yeah, maybe so, unless he just stood there and swiped him right in front of her.
It seemed like that would take a little while to do.
You'd think. Yeah.
I mean, I've sent a few pictures to my phones, and it takes a little time. I don't know.
Right, and it's certainly, whenever the cop goes back to their cruiser to punch in your information or whatever, they like to sweat you out, right? It doesn't take that long to run a license check. If they are punching your license plate or your license number up on their computer, they're connected to the internet on those in-car computers, so it doesn't take that long to pull up the information. They're doing various things back there. They might be chatting with their buddies. They might be researching a law with which to charge you. But yeah, they love to go back there and let you sweat it out. So this could be one of the things they're doing back there, is pulling up your naked photos on your phone. Don't ever hand anything over to the police unless you are required by a warrant signed by a judge to do so.
So let me ask you this. There's a lot of states where texting is illegal while you drive or whatever. So that gives an officer they claim to have seen you with a phone. That gives them probable cause to check your phone, their text logs?
That's a good question. I don't know about that. Would they need to check your text logs to be able to charge you with that? I don't think so. I think that for instance, there's a new law in New Hampshire, a statute in New Hampshire as of the middle of the summer, which is bad news. This is one of the bad things that happened over the last year. A lot of good things have happened in the state legislature for freedom. This is not one of them. That does prohibit the use of a handheld cell phone device while driving.
Mm-hmm.
And so ultimately, they're going to ticket you based on their claim they saw you with a phone. I don't think they're going to have any real evidence, right? Like, when a cop claims you were speeding, all the cop has to do is come in and claim that they saw you speeding. They can claim they tracked you by driving the same speed. They don't have to have radar.
No, it's just it's just evidence.
And nor do they have the evidence of the radar anyway. They just have the claim that they had the radar. So ultimately,
right, they can't really show anything.
Right.
The radar, read what it read, and then they wrote down what they wrote down. Hopefully, those two pieces of information are the same, but they aren't necessarily.
So I'm hoping, and this is something that hasn't happened here yet in New Hampshire, and hopefully it will at some point with this new law. Hopefully we'll see some activists challenging it with fun stuff like the cookie phone prank on the cops. You ever seen that one, Mark?
Yeah, the cookie phone. It's a cookie that looks like a telephone.
That's right. And you hold the cookie up next to your head, and then when the cop pulls you over, you take a bite out of it when you roll down the window to talk to him.
Yeah, they think that's funny, I'm sure. They just love that joke.
Well, the cops over in Europe seem to like it. I don't know how they'd respond here in the U.S. We'll see you tomorrow night. freetalklive.com. In the meantime.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those 2 tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800